can't believe you forgot to put dreams in the thumbnail, like I told you to, Brian.
What's dreams, man? What's dreams? It's all about.
I think we should start. We should start every episode with AJ just roasting whatever thumbnail you can.
I mean, isn't that what we do?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Let's make it an official thing.
Pretty much the case. Yeah, I mean, I put lots of work into this. Don't you guys see that the image is actually backwards? And so I actually had to take the text and make it and flip the text to make it look like it's not backwards. I put so much work. Guys, maybe we should just start the show.
Cue the cat.
Where's the cat? Hold on, I lost the cat. Oh, I found the cat. There he is.
Never lose the cat.
Found the cat.
Because I want to say what's up to Woody the Bluebird, evening all real, the real Dr. Cheese.
The real Dr. Cheese.
Checkpoint Alpha, can't wait for VR Dreams. Me neither, we're going to talk about that. Or Seek, I am Or Seek. Meow. Robert Sullivan, the Game Cat. Meow. The Terra Blade 42, sounds, I like that name. John Boydo Joe. Meow Meow, the Gamer Cat. Wee, Salvador Saavedra. What's up, dude? Bob C, the Game Cat. Nissan, the Game Cat Lover. Just incredible. Darth Vader. Lord Vader in the house, Robbie B, the English Game Cat, Mr. Roboto, Domo Arigato, Hibsy, the Game Cat, our news source of all time, Riley streams games. Hello, Riley. Gamer Chick 13, what up? Rua Grong, hello. Stephen Cardwell, Genetic Blasphemy, Bogeyman Productions, what's up? Brad out of Hell says clean Xbox check, lube check. I'm ready for GAMESCAST. Hell yeah, man, you sound ready. Johnny Ripe up the Stray Cat. Silent Evil 999. Steve IRE, hello from Ireland. Donatello, the Scientist Game Cat, Original Uberbitch, the Bearded Game Cat, Kyle PSVR, We're Gaming, and Joke Over, send Joke Over, J. Kate. I got it right that time.
Hey, well done. J. Kate.
Game Cat, DJ, David Moore, Guyson, fist bump to you, Matthew Danos, XCam, Cash Swearin. Will the
Are we still looking at the cat here? Or
we're just
Ninja Tiger King, hello.
No, we're just staring
looking at our faces.
We're staring at AJ reading the chat.
Okay, that's what I figured. So they can
premium
see us
entertainment here.
Okay. What's up out there, folks? Usually Brian intros the show, and I'm going to let him do that. I don't know why I started.
Damn, I was just about to drink coffee, and I was like, well, maybe if Dave's taking over, I can sit back and fucking relax.
Only the viewers get to take over, sir.
Oh, except not this week. We'll get back to that next week. Sorry that there was no viewer takeover this week. A little technical problem got in the way, but we'll make it bigger and better, because bigger is always better. Next week. All right, you guys, this is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we film live every 6 p.m. Thursday, Eastern Standard Time. Is it Eastern Standard Time? I don't even know what time zone we're in anymore.
Eastern.
It says Eastern Time.
Yeah, it's Eastern.
When is it Standard? When does it change from Standard to Daylight?
Well, I don't know. It always surprises me.
Yeah, I'm totally shocked all the time.
Somebody in the chat knows that stuff.
A little bit of housekeeping. Make sure you join our Discord server, man. We had a blast in the Discord server today. We even got into the voice chat. Sometimes that's something we do, here and there, a little bits at a time. But I took a nap after all the Iron Man extravaganza this morning. I woke up and saw way more people in the voice chat than I've ever seen before. I dove in, and we were all just having a nice conversation about Saints and Sinners and Iron Man.
Yeah.
We were watching Mr. Sonic stream Trackmania.
You're like, that's what we were doing before you came and ruined it, Brian.
Yes. Yep. It was all fun and
Brian,
games.
go back to bed. Stop ruining everything. Yeah, guys, but this is PSVR GamesCast Live, where we talk about PlayStation VR games pretty much nonstop for way too long.
Way too long, especially today. Geesh, it's going to be a long one, guys. Strap in, get your soda pops,
Suit up.
So I think we should begin the show the way we begin every show, with a little game of should we or shouldn't we, when we have 6 seconds up on the clock up on the counter, the way that Jeremy likes it. It's our chance to tell you, the little game cats, whether you should or should not be playing and or watching the things that we've been playing and or watching. What did I miss? That was like the silliest line.
I don't know what he's doing.
My timing is really off.
Oh, man. Who wants to go first?
Dave, you ready for this one?
Yeah, I think I actually am ready for this one.
On your mark, get Des. Go.
All right, this week's Should We is Last of Us 2. I'm liking it. I'm playing it. I haven't had as much chance the last few days, of course, because Iron Man coming out and trying to get the review together for all that.
Yeah.
But I've put, maybe 6 to 8 hours into it, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I was worried from some of the reviews that I read that were unscored that kind of said this game's a little much. It's a little too bleak. And it's just it doesn't really nail what it's going for. But for the most part, from what I've seen so far, I'm really liking it. So if you enjoyed the first one, I know there's so much online rhetoric about this game, people going crazy, flaming each other on either side. And it's a lot of nonsense because it's really just a solid game that's longer than the first one with better mechanics. So that's it. It's maybe a little padded, a little too long, but pretty good. Okay,
Pretty
so
jealous
we got
of you. I want to play that.
Brian's been playing it too. He might have some thoughts. But first, I got to hit Tree Guy a couple times.
You can't bleed me anymore.
I'll let him talk. Tree Guy evolved into Pocket Guy. Hit me, Dave, says Robbie B, the English Game Cat. Very posh with 2 pounds. And we also got Matthew Danos.
Fuck you.
Sorry. $4.99. Good morning, afternoon, or whatever. I can't wait 6 hours for Iron Man VR. I pre-ordered it.
Nice.
And then one more real quick before we stop. Donatello
Yes.
decided to Game Cat.
Get out of here.
$2. And he says, sometimes you got to run before you walk. Okay.
Sometimes you got to fly before you can ever walk or teleport, but we'll get into that later.
Donatello
Yes,
is definitely
we certainly
quoting.
will.
That's an Iron Man quote right there. I see.
You know what's funny is I was taking my nap today, and I was like, man, what am I gonna like leave on the TV to sort of have on in the background while I nap? And I watched the first Iron Man movie again, and I was like, yep, that quote was right there, and it's and that's a quote from Iron Man. So, all right, I'm gonna go next on my mark, get set, go, and that's all about Last of Us 2 so far has been really good. Again, I'm in the same boat as Dave, except way further behind. Dave's way ahead of me in this game, but I really love the way this starts. I'm really curious to see where the story goes. I've avoided most spoilers, but honestly, like, I just don't care where they take me in this world because it's so dark and depressing, and it's everything I love about life. Fucking just, the depressing, dark. Can I say dark and depressing a few more times to pad this out?
Sure. But 30 seconds of saying dark and depressing.
but what I did actually before my nap was I played Operencia, and I only played it for the first 20 minutes or so just to get an idea of like what the combat mechanics feel like and the traversal mechanics feel like, and it's good. It's good. It's so strange because it doesn't look like a game that should be grid-based movement. It feels like if you're not even paying attention, you feel like, oh, this is just moving like normal first-person controls. And then you get into a battle, and it's very like structured RPG stuff with some deep battle mechanics. It's a should we so far.
Cool. So it's
Nice.
it's like one of those. I think AJ played it too, so he's probably got thoughts. But it's kind of like one of those real old school dungeon crawlers where it's like you would map it out on pen and paper, like where you were going through this square of the dungeon, this square of the dungeon.
AJ, I haven't
Like
gotten to in a dungeon yet.
everything
Is that the case?
grid-based.
Does it all kind of look the same like that? Where you'd have to map it out? Actually, if you
Oh yeah. Yeah, but they start. So Operencia, the Stolen Sun, is actually getting a VR patch here pretty soon.
Yeah, I guess
so
I should have prefaced why I played it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's cool to see it's cool to get your early impressions on it. I liked it so far. And yeah, it is like grid-based movement, which is like really weird at first, right?
Yeah.
But eventually there's like holes in the ground and you can actually see them on your little mini map and you can fall down them. So so it's kind of cool, like in a way where it's like, yeah, it's grid-based, but it does kind of like work in
Hey,
a way.
real quick, Robbie B, we love you around here, man. But no spoilers for Last of Us in the comments, please. I just hid that comment. Nobody do that. Don't
Yeah.
drop spoilers. Even if it's something you think everybody knows, even if it happens in the first 2 hours of the game, nobody likes getting stuff spoiled if they already haven't. So
Well,
Wait,
Brian,
wait.
Dave,
This is so weird. Gamer Chick in the chat, what's up, Tiff? Said listening to Brian is like listening to early albums by The Cure. That's so weird. I was listening to whatever album Mint Car was on, like literally an hour ago. So you're like reading
Checks
my
out.
mind now.
you
Yeah.
invested it, and now
Checks
you're
out.
serving it up. You're giving that energy.
that would be
sweating
dark.
out my pores.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess we got one more should we or shouldn't we to go, and that would be from our I'm sorry, you're the defend. No, I was trying to think of your official title because I didn't even introduce you guys. Obviously, Dave from Dave Station VR and AJ, the defender of load screens from PSVR Underground.
Not today.
I
Not
forgot.
today, my friend.
I
Not
forgot to
today.
introduce you, and I forgot that that's your new official title because every time I've talked to you in the last 3 days, you're like, I'm the defender of load screens. And I was like, that is the greatest title ever.
I usually have no problem with load screens. Usually. All right, I'm ready though. Let's do this.
All right, on your mark, get Des. Boom.
All right, so I was recently playing No Man's Sky with the cats. I was there hanging out with my dude Nick Mulo. Just Incredible was there. Wonder Rob was there. Creeper Betty was there. There's a couple other people, and we were just running around exploring. There was one thing that was really cool was that I finally got to see, because Niculo showed me, that they do actually have those dinosaurs that they show in the original trailer that I thought like never made it into the game. They actually eventually did. They're a little bit different. They're a little bit smaller. But I'll tell you what, man, with the full body movement and IK and everything and going, and we were sitting there and riding dinosaurs together. Then I took all the guys, the crew to my planet, and I showed them my planet with like the purple grass and this like amazing underwater stuff. Cause I spent like literally 200 hours doing water exploration. But anyways, No Man's Sky should be.
I keep forgetting the timer has the sound effects. I have to keep turning it up for the buzzer noise.
Oh, yeah. Real quick, Year Long Shadows gave us 50 North Korean Sekiros. And he says, my should we or shouldn't we watch Jojo Rabbit? Go in blind, no info, no trailers, superb movie. I liked it too. I thought it was pretty good. My parents enjoyed it as well. I think it's something, if you got older folks in your family, they'll still like it.
Do we not get a genre for this? So it's not comedy, right?
It's a comedy. It is a comedy. Yeah, definitely a comedy. Well, Brian doesn't like comedies. It's from Taika Waititi, who's made a lot of movies that people like. Taika Waititi makes good shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And basically, he plays a young boy in Nazi Germany's like imaginary friend version of Hitler, and that's all I'll say.
Excellent.
But it's a comedy.
His best movie by far, at least one of my favorites, is Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh, I love Hunt for the Wilder People.
Yeah, that's a fantastic movie. People need to check that out.
Did I just cross into some parallel universe? Like, is the Mandela effect? Like, this didn't exist with me. Like, this doesn't exist in my world. What the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Taika Waititi, he's a very good director. He made What We Do in the Shadows.
He did
Thor
Ragnarok.
okay.
He directed Thor Ragnarok and stuff.
Okay. I've actually seen two of those movies.
It's Marvel themed.
Great.
We're Marvel themed today.
And Hunt for the Wilder People is not like it's a funny movie, but it's like a dramedy. It's got some heart.
Oh,
Anyways,
it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
really funny. The
right.
kid in that movie is great. We got one more. Oh, it didn't. You better not die on me, true guy. No, he's not dead.
You ain't dying today.
Original Uber Bitch, the bearded game cat, and says, "Let the Iron Cat extravaganza begin, but only after the load screen." Guys, it's going to be quite a long load screen to get to Iron Man VR.
Yeah.
We've got it stacked at the back of the.
We've got a couple load screens before we get to Iron Man.
That's very
VR.
fitting. Very fitting.
Nice.
All right. But we do have, guys, you ready for some news? Because we've got 12 items to talk about today. Lots of new games to talk about.
That's an actual dozen.
Not a baker's dozen, though.
Yeah. But, most importantly, we have like a huge conversation we want to have about Dreams, PSVR finally getting support. We've got, of course, the topic of today, Iron Man VR. Those are the two big things. But first, we have a bunch of news. And before we even do that, hit me, Dave.
You didn't want the breaking news intro?
Time for some news.
You scared me. I thought Tree Guy was dead. I'm gonna got this one. It's gonna be Donatello the Scientist Game Cat with a $5 donation. Says, "Is it better to be feared or respected?" I say, "Is it too much to ask for both?" Killing it, man. I'm killing it.
I am neither. So you
it's
guys.
A rhetorical question.
It could be, or it could be the topic, or it could be the topic of the rest of this GAMESCAST.
It sort of is in some way, indirectly.
True.
We're getting more tips, guys. This is we're never gonna get to the show. Thank you for the tips, guys.
Good.
Wolfie Smith, the Game Cub, the king of In Death, if I remember properly.
Yes, that is correct.
Happy Independence Day for Saturday. So that's us here in the U.S.
He won't admit to it, but Wolfie, the Game Cub, Red Panda, my dude, is amazing at In Death, and In Death is an awesome game.
Good. He's high up on the leaderboards.
Yeah, I've certainly watched his live streams before, and I am like, well, I shouldn't ever play this game ever again because this is totally out of my league.
He'll show you how to get good at that.
Nice.
All right, so there's no new PS5 news to go through today. However, we did get something related to PSVR, and there was a patent filed from Sony or whatever, the company Sony. But this comes via IGN of all people. I almost want to say this just because it's almost like news just because IGN of all people did an article about VR. Maybe they're getting some more clicks like from VR stuff, Maybe they're finally starting to get some traffic on the website. So they're like, let's do this patent that angers people and see if we can feed off that a little. Anyways, Jordan Alleman says, quote, a new PlayStation VR patent filed by Sony Interactive Entertainment suggests that the company is working on technology that will allow advertisements to be displayed within the headset. The patent listing from Sony was first discovered by Segment Next, published on June 25th. It shows drawings that offer an example of how virtual reality advertising model may look in practice. What do you guys think?
I'm not surprised at all. I mean, every form of media at some point gets colonized by advertisers. I mean, I guess maybe books are the only one that I can think of that hasn't. But, you know, really, it's inevitable that something as profitable as video games would end up at some point getting advertisements. And whether this is product placement, I saw a really, really bad concept design for this that showed a Burger King ad next to Super Hot, like on a wall.
Oh, I saw that. There's
a giant, and they actually said later, well, this was never intended to be released to the public. This was an accident. Like, we're not going to put a Burger King ad in fucking Super Hot. Like
right, and the guys that made Super Hot were like, we did not approve our game to be in this. Yeah.
So you know, it's going to happen. I hope that balances out some of the development costs too, though, because like, say you're a smaller developer and you're trying to get your game made, and maybe you got to put a little bit of advertising for something in there, just like product placement, whatever it is, or like a pane of a window that just lights up and says like, "Hey, eat at Joe's," or whatever the fuck it is. I think that can help recoup some of the cost of like, you know, getting started in VR, because a lot of these games you can't guarantee they're going to sell 1 million copies. So like, if you get advertising, I think it kind of helps.
But this is kind of showing something different, though, right? This is patent isn't like, oh, hey, you're walking down the street and there's a billboard up there. That you don't need a patent for that. That's just like in-game advertisement. This is like,
true. Yeah, that's true.
This is like saying, okay, we're going to show you advertisements in your VR headset, right?
Oh, that sounds fucking obnoxious. But I'm not surprised.
Is that the gist I'm getting from this? Like, is that
that's what I thought it was, for sure. But as long as it doesn't as long as it's not intrusive to my gaming, like I don't really like, it doesn't bother me. Like if let's say the PSVR has an XMB with PS5 or something, and you know, I'm at the homepage and it's got like something popping up, or I don't know, if it's the least intrusive, the better.
Sure.
That's all I can say. But just thought it was interesting.
I mean, here's the thing. Justin brings up, this is a pretty good point. I could see Facebook injecting ads into Beat Saber. That is not, I mean, maybe not Beat Saber. I don't think we're going to go back and retroactively shove ads in.
Slicing billboards in half.
The fact that Facebook owns a huge stake in Oculus, that they own.
I was going to ask you, do they have ads on the Oculus homepage or anything?
Just for games, just for stuff in their store. But
okay.
I would not be surprised at all if Facebook eventually leveraged the possibility to put ads in VR, because you know, Facebook fucking is full of ads, targeted ads.
Right.
If you scroll through your feed, they're like, "Hey, you might like this silly T-shirt. Hey, why don't you buy a shirt that says it's a Wilcox thing?" Oh, I just doxed myself.
Yeah.
Sorry, you know.
But I mean, like so many other patents, like this is something that they patent and said, you know, for future use, maybe we'll use it. But it very well could be like, oh, you know what, gamers don't want this shit, and like it could really turn off a lot of gamers.
I mean, nobody wants advertisements anywhere. It's never gotten in the way of people advertising. People on TV don't want commercials, but they give them to you anyways.
Right, but as you said, if there's, you know, a game needs to have advertisements, and you know, and they can do it in a subtle way with product placement or billboards or whatever, then you know, then no, it's not intrusive, and it kind of falls in line with we're all fine with that. You know, it's like, it's just, it's part of the world, and like, I mean, those are the kind of advertisements I'm totally fine with.
The Monster Energy in Death Stranding didn't even bother me. Like, I thought it was funny. I'm just like, that's kind of a weird gag, and I'm sure it gave him like an extra $500,000 to work with, you know, just by putting monsters so prominently.
You know what's going to happen? We're going to be playing Saints and Sinners 2, and then all of a sudden it's just going to pop up and be like, Diet Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Diet Pepsi.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm going to mod the fuck out of that game. All right.
So let's move on to the next one.
Let's get Your Long Shadows donation with the 50 knock knock who's there donation, saying, I'm sure Brian's coffee intake that's a long one. Inspires at least some fear and a lot of respect. Well, thank you very much. I don't know if that's true, but I'll take it. I'll take it and I'll like it. All right, what's our next news story, AJ?
All right, so we were expecting budget cuts to actually come out the 10th in 8 days. Man. And for the second time now, I think it has been delayed once again. However, they've got some cool news to share, even though it sucks it's being delayed. They've got some extra stuff that they might be adding as well. Dave.
Oh, yeah. So right before this, I skimmed the article real quick to get all the details.
Nice.
And basically, they are delaying it till August. I think August 25th, I want to say off the top of my head.
September.
September.
Oh, even longer.
Yeah.
Yeesh. Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought it was August. Okay, so it was originally like AJ said next week. And they're adding a new level that's sort of like, they call it the Panopticon. And they're saying you can approach it with arcade action, or you can go stealthy, or like whatever you want to do. And it just seems to be a whole new area. And they have a new arcade mode where you can like access different challenges and stuff. So it seems like they're adding a few things. I don't know if that's the reason for the delay or just like something to say like, hey guys, it's coming later, but there's going to be some more stuff on it. So whatever. But I think it should be fun when it gets here. I played some of it on PC and had a good time. I really like the mechanic where it like turns teleporting into something fun and useful, because it's like a portal gun teleporter. Like you can look through the other side of where you're teleporting to. So exciting stuff. Keep an eye out for this one when it does drop, but always sucks to get a delay, of course.
I think any delay at this point might end up hurting this game a little bit more. Like the more it gets delayed, I think it would have actually been better to come out sooner.
Well, yeah, I mean, the sequel is already out on PC and has been for a while. So
That
it's
being
late
said,
already.
this month is an awful month for this game to launch.
Yeah.
So
This is
they
definitely
actually,
for the best.
yeah, this is actually a better scenario for them. Launching later in September, maybe there's nothing going on around that time. So
You got to feel bad for Neat Corp though. These guys, I mean, like, man, they had a delay. I want to say before the COVID breakout. Great game. And then COVID kept all but like one of the dudes. I think his name was Lucas. Is that right? I remember showing it in PSVR this week, and he was like working in the office by himself, and like he was just like goofing off and having fun and like making cardboard cutouts of his coworkers and stuff and putting them in chairs. And it's like it looked like he was losing his mind.
Right.
That I was, and so like this team has like been persevering and working from home and having one dude in the office and doing everything they can to get this game out. And then after all of that, another big delay, and it's like, oh man, it's like you got to feel for him, and fingers crossed that the PSVR port turns out to be as good as they want it to be, so that it'll all be worthwhile. There's nothing worse than waiting for a game way longer than it should have been, and then getting a kind of a subpar port or something. So let's hope it's worth the wait.
I will say I do like the positive spin on this, where it's like, yeah, it's delayed, but hey, we've got some good news with it. I think they played that pretty well.
Yeah, for sure.
Always.
All right, got a couple of tips to
Yeah.
take care of here before we move on to the next subject of the day.
Get the fuck out of here! Fuck you!
Sorry, Phil Saunders. I didn't mean that he did, though. That is £2, €2, whatever he says. Evening, boys. Just keep doing what you're doing. Thumbs up. We shall.
Luckily, it's the only
And then-
thing we know how to do, so thank you very much.
Yeah, we don't know how to do anything else.
Yeah, this is it.
And then we've got Scott Jestico.
Fuck you! Fuck you! Get out of here!
He's not
You guys
liking
so
anybody. today.
rude, man. So
He's
rude.
very rude today. Very rude today. Says, hi, gentlemen. Hi, Game Cats. Cat with heart eyes. PSN Harry fella. Here again. Got Iron Man coming tomorrow. Can't wait to play it. Plus, I'm totally ready for Dreams VR. You guys are the best in the
Hell
community. Hashtag PSVR Game Cat for life. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
we do have the best community. You guys are fucking awesome.
Yeah,
So,
man. I know Harry fella. I think I'm 99% sure we're friends on PSN. I accept all friends requests. That would be dark. Make sure you add me. At some point, I'm gonna be like, I can't keep accepting friend requests, so do it now. Do it now while
Yeah,
no
get
one
in
knows
Get
who the fuck
in
you
there
are.
while you can.
Yeah,
Break all the iron shot.
right. Thank you guys very much for the tips. We really, really appreciate it. Robbie P. English Game Cat goes delayed, followed by a shit release. Aspire ring any bells?
Okay, I just want to say budget cuts could not be as bad in any way as Aspire. Just because it's an actual stealth game, if you get seen, it's like a one hit.
Right.
you're
You get
done.
seen and you're done.
It's real straight stealth.
I don't think he's
Budget
actually
cuts is
comparing it.
really.
To that.
Oh,
Right.
I know. I'm just
No, poor Robbie is a little, he still hasn't fully recovered from the launch of Aspire, along with several other game cats.
All right.
Fuck you! This is my free world!
And Brian, what's that say?
That's from Joe
my
Grover, the effing Game Cat Red Rover with the $30 donation. Thank you so much for that, sir. He says, how does Tony Stark scratch his nuts when he's in the suit? And if he farts, OMG. Okay, back to my hole. Nothing particular to say. Just wanted to tip.
Oh my god. You're crazy.
This is
I'm
why,
sure he's got some kind of technology thing.
like, some ventilation
ready
system
for that.
going on.
Yeah,
Some
there's definitely some air vents in the back.
some
like,
nut massagers. Ooh, that's not a good visual.
He's got a separate AI. There's Friday, there's the gunsmith, and there's one just for ball scratching.
There's Billy.
The fondler.
I don't know why I just named him Billy. Okay, let's move along. Budget cuts. We're very
All right.
excited for it.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
cool
it's supposed to be very good. All right, so earlier this week we got a surprise of. So there was a little game a couple years ago in 2017 called Mortal Blitz, guys, and I think I talked about Mortal Blitz as a should we, shouldn't we? I actually said it was a should we when it's on sale because it's like this. It was the original Time Crisis in VR that we had with some of its own mechanics.
Still better than a lot of the other ones we've gotten since then.
Like Bravo Team. It's more Time Crisis than Bravo Team. And so now Skonek has returned from the dead and basically announced a new free-to-play arcade shooter called Mortal Blitz Combat Arena. Now, at this time, it's only confirmed in Japan, but A, I have a Japanese account and you should too. If you need help, let me know. I will help you. And B, there's a good chance I think there's a good chance we see it as well because it's all translated in English in the trailer. But
yeah, I think I originally bought the Hong Kong version of this game before it came out, and the whole thing was in English at that point too.
So Japanese store will have stuff in Japanese, only rarely have English translations. Hong Kong store has mostly like all translations to English.
And it'll tell you in the title, Japanese / English / Korean version. Like you can see before you buy it. What was I going to say? Oh, Skonek is actually kind of interesting. After they did Mortal Blitz, they pivoted to building Beat Saber arcade machines. Did you guys see that? Skonek was producing Beat Saber arcade machines. Yeah. That's kind of an interesting thing that they're coming back to Mortal Blitz. Although it looks nothing like the existing Mortal Blitz at all. It looks mostly to me like a game called Tower Tag that just came out on PC. But I know some of the game cats in here have been playing because I've played with them before. And yeah, it's really that sort of like you're on a spot and you can teleport to this spot or that spot and you've got cover, but you got to sort of like duck and dodge and shoot this guy, teleport there, get behind him. So it's like a, kind of strategic in terms of like taking a position against another person. But yeah, it looks interesting. I trust them to do some
4v4. Apparently 100 guns, but I'm just going to say a lot of customizable guns because they showed some off. I haven't actually seen 100 guns.
Okay,
but that's what.
Here's the thing: if it's free to play and there's 100 guns, those guns cost money. My
friend. Yeah, that's going to be microtransactions. There's a good chance there will be because that's the free to play model.
And if if it's free to play and it's got worthwhile things to purchase, I'm always okay with that.
Yeah,
it's like I have definitely
cosmetic mostly the time, not any pay to win stuff though. That's not usually cool.
Yeah, I mean,
or time saver stuff.
I would have liked what's that game?
Pokemon Go. I spent $60 on Pokemon Go over the course of a summer, and I will tell you that but I got more hours out of Pokemon Go than most $60 games I've ever bought in my life.
Yeah,
so like
exercise, walking all over the place, weren't you?
Very true. So that's the kind of thing I like about these games. It's like the more time you put into it, the more you're like, well, this is actually worth my money. I can give them as much as I want or as little as I want, and then dip out like when I feel like I got my money's worth. So I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
So also aim controller support, which the original Mortal Blitz just had, just moves. The only thing, this is also node-based teleportation, and it's cover-based shooter. It's got like the shield. I mean, you can see it from the footage. It's got like the shields. Now, usually, especially like after playing wands and stuff, I am like so against PvP that has node teleportation. But this one, because it's free, especially, I'm definitely willing to give it a chance. And I like the idea of like zooming up to a spot and like, you're ducking with each other and like shooting at each other. There's also a 1v4 PvE, a 1v3 PvE, and it's just like, just team deathmatch. But yeah, I think if it's fast paced, if it's frantic enough, it could be pretty fun, especially if you're like doing a bunch of like ducking and dodging and stuff. It'll be physical enough to feel like you're doing some kind of movement. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this actually.
Was there a release window for this, or is it just like it's coming?
Yes.
Oh, really?
August, there's a beta in August. Now, I don't know what region this will be for, but at least in Japan, there's going to be a beta in August and then the full release in September.
We got to
Sweet.
get in on that beta,
Yeah.
man.
For sure.
Yeah.
Figure that out.
I don't know if I have any contacts over there, but I will certainly reach out and see if they listen. Let's get a couple tips in here before we move on to our next story.
Oh, it didn't work. Well, you can go ahead and read that one.
All right, that's
Next
for
guy.
Stephen Cardwell with the $2 donation saying, Brian, Firewall 0 Hour Attorney coming up soon. I just double checked with Rypop, the master of ceremonies of the tournaments, and he confirmed it is July 11th. Stephen Cardwell is getting on me about this because I'm on his team. I'm like, I haven't literally played Firewall in 2 months, maybe 3, and so I need to squad up with my teammates and make sure that we have some kind of rapport before
I was
the
supposed to
tournament.
do that this weekend, but I did not, and I feel bad. But I got Frog. I like Frog. I know Frog.
Frog's awesome. Guys, make sure that you join our Discord because we do tournaments pretty much every month. I don't know if we're skipping months or what the deal is for the next one, but get in on them. And the tournaments are always fun, and each member of the winning team of this Firewall tournament will get a $20 PSN gift card.
Ooh, I hope
I
it's
got
me.
this next one.
Click me! For you! For you! Fuck you!
Wow.
What are you clicking for?
Did he save
That
those all
is
up and
from-
throw them? Okay.
That is Professor Lilith with the $2 donation. Says, thanks for getting the Iron Man reviews in before launch.
No
You are
problem.
very welcome. We are actually going to definitely talk more Iron Man. And, if you're on the fence, you will have your answer tonight. It should be concrete, whether you're on the, for whatever reason.
Yeah,
We
and
will
I just
help you
want to
decide
say,
tonight.
so you guys know what you're getting into here. Each of our reviews was pretty much the longest review any of us have ever released.
Yeah.
But I still didn't say half the shit that I wanted to say, and
Yeah.
I know you guys didn't either because we had phone conversations, all the three of us, before we posted those reviews, where I know we all have a lot more to say. So even if you watched all 3 of ours, there will be things we didn't cover that we're going to talk about tonight. So, we
Right.
got one more, right? Donatello?
Yep, you got this, Dave.
You like to squeeze me!
He says, "Give me a scotch. I'm starving."
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's how it works. But I'll
Wow.
this is not a scotch, but I'll take one. Yeah.
Killing it with the lines tonight. I love it, and I'm so glad I just watched the movie because I probably wouldn't have remembered any of these.
Oh, it's a reference. God damn it!
Yeah.
He's been, I didn't want to say anything, but those have all been Iron Man references.
Oh, really nice.
Which one did you watch, Brian?
The first one. Good.
Again?
I was
Yeah.
thinking about watching that because so much of this game. Well, we'll talk about it later.
Well,
Yeah.
I had just signed up for Disney Plus again because with the upcoming Star Wars Squadrons, I was like, I promised everybody I was going to marathon all the movies, and I was like, well, the easiest way to do that is to pay $6 for a Disney Plus subscription. And then I was like, oh wait, this has all the Marvel stuff too. So I was like, oh, you know what? In celebration of Iron Man today, and also because I was going to take a nap and didn't want to watch something I hadn't seen before, I was like, I'll just watch the first one and fall asleep to it. Somehow I heard all of these comments either while I was dozing or while I was drifting off to sleep, or all these references. So it's a perfect
Nice.
melding of worlds today, and it's like you were all there with me on my nap. Thank you. That's a thing.
All right, so just got to give a quick shout out to Desolatium. There's 26 hours left. They have officially gotten 1,000 backers for that game. You will get a PSVR copy of the game, but you still have 26 hours to sign up. So if you want to support this game and if you want to get a copy of it, go to their Kickstarter. You can get it through my Twitter. And
Everything's on AJ's Twitter, man. Just look at his Twitter for any news. You don't even have to watch this show. Just look at his Twitter.
it's really just plugging my Twitter.
Also, is it just me or is everything inspired by H.P. Lovecraft these days? Everything.
A lot of things, yeah. A lot of things.
Like, do not open.
I think, but we need somebody to get it like really right. You know what I mean? Besides Bloodborne,
Well, as excited as I am,
VR, I mean,
as excited as I am about anyone making a horror game, I did reach out to these guys and I said, I just want to confirm that even the game that you're making now, like I know your demo was a 360 video game, 360 video game. Is your final game also going to be 360 video, like flat video? And they said yes, with like 3D elements layered on top of it. We saw that a little bit in Afterlife, and it like worked to varying degrees. Yeah, exactly. But Afterlife was more of a 360 video, and I think they actually used a lot of they couldn't have the resolution as high as Desolatium will, or Desolatium. I still don't know how to pronounce this thing.
I
So
would say Desolation. That's my guess. Desolation.
I might support these guys on Kickstarter because I do want a physical copy of any PSVR game, and I don't know if that's going to go to retail after the Kickstarter's over. So I might end up supporting these guys.
All right, so quick, 2 more tips. The tips keep coming. They don't stop coming.
Fuck you! Fuck you!
Joe
Don't squeeze
Grover,
me!
the effing game cat, with $20 says Hodis showed up today. That's exciting, man.
Oh, yes.
He said, I'm staring at it like a dog at a high-pitched whistle, waiting for Star Wars to magically show up. It's a trap. Well, you don't have to wait for Star Wars because there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with that Hodis. In the meantime, Google it. I don't want to spend too much time talking, but yeah, there's a lot of cool games to play with Hodis on PS4.
Everybody's been picking up Hodises for Star Wars Squadrons coming out October 2nd. Cannot wait. And yeah, in the meantime, pick up. In the meantime, when you get a chance, pick up Ace Combat 7 as soon as it goes on sale. It goes on sale a lot actually.
Absolutely.
And that definitely warm up with some Ace Combat 7, maybe Eve Valkyrie if you already have it. Those are great games. Ultra Wings too.
Ultra Wings,
very good. With the Hodis, great. Get your warm up going. You're gonna need it.
And then we have Miles Dyer.
Ow! Fuck you! It hurt!
Miles in German.
I know. I'm just using a fun voice, man. Whatever.
Are you Hydra?
I don't know, man. It's been a while since I've sent you guys some love of the monetary variety. So here you go. Winky face. Keep up the great work. And
What's
he
up,
sends
Miles
us a heart.
Dyer?
What's up, dude? Good to see you.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Wow. He's been keeping busy out there. He's got these quarantine like pub quizzes, he calls them, like trivia things you can tune into every week on Fridays.
Nice.
But thank you for all the donations so far, everybody. You are keeping the pizza rolling in and keeping the reviews rolling in. We kind of rolled past a little bit the Iron Man VR comment about getting our reviews out on time. And I don't know if you guys want to spend. Do you want to wait until the Iron Man VR conversation to talk about like kind of that review process, or
probably.
We'll wrap it all up into that conversation?
Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
cool.
we can sprinkle some here and there, but
okay.
I
just because honestly, I really hate it when there's a big. All I was really gonna say was that I really hate it when there's like a big game coming out and we only have like a couple days to really like dive into it, capture all the footage we need, get our impressions, write a script, do the whole thing, and then next thing you know, I'm like, that took 2 full days of work, like every minute of my waking hours for 2 full days, and then I looked back at the channel and went, oh man, there's like been nothing cool on the channel for like 2 days, and so I hate that because it looks like, because to you guys it looks like I haven't been doing anything, but then like you guys see my like 6.5 minute review that's like fucking jam packed with every single scene and this craziness, and so hopefully that reflects and you guys go, oh okay, this is what he's been doing for 2 days.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
It's
last 3 days for me, and then I'm running on 3 hours of sleep right now because I got it out this morning, and then like I stayed up for the premiere of the review, and then like I just couldn't go back to sleep. I was so excited about just everybody talking about it, all the conversations around it, and yeah, I just couldn't sleep. No, I feel great. I feel awesome.
On topic, Miles Dyer, and since he tipped us, we're going to read his comment. He said, I'm curious to know what percentage, and because we love you, what percentage of PSVR games you actually get codes for from developers ahead of launch. It's such a tough call these days. I would say about half. And it's really just depends on the game. It depends on the developer. Strangely, Sony's been the most like reliable source for me lately. Like if they've got a big game coming out, they've been really good about getting those keys out ahead of time. But when it's like some independent game, who's it sounds like they sit around and they wait for keys, and sometimes they don't get their keys. And this is all from them. I don't have any confirmation on this, but they're saying they're telling me days after release they don't still have their keys, their review keys to hand out, and I'm like. Part of me goes, well, that sucks. They're a small dev team, and they didn't get much preferential treatment for their game. And then the other half of me goes, they didn't have confidence in their game, and they didn't want to review at launch. So, it kind of goes both ways on that.
I've definitely purchased most of my games. Out of the 300 something I have, I think I've gotten codes for like 30, maybe at best.
So I don't ask as much as I used to because I've gotten. To be honest, I've gotten a little lazy. I used to like keep an eye on every single game that was coming and be emailing the devs like weeks in advance and like, hey, I heard you guys coming out with a game. Can I get a code?
It used to be easy. There was like one every 3 weeks.
Well, yeah, and a lot of times now games will just pop up, and I'm like, oh wait, it's out. Shit, I didn't ask anybody, and it's like the day of, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll just buy it.
Yeah.
Or I'll see someone else play it and say to myself, maybe I don't need to spend $30 on that. I mean, Brian already streamed it. People know what it is. So
yeah. The other half of this conversation is like, yes, it's nice that it saves me money, but I actually end up buying it for Jeremy for a Why We Love episode, and then What else do I spend money? Oh, and then, obviously a lot of the times when I don't get the review key on time and I or if it's available in Australia first or something like that, I do not hesitate. If it's in Australia and I haven't gotten my review key yet, I go buy that game, and then when the review key comes out, that's generally what I do at the giveaway on PSVR this week.
Here's a little bit inside baseball too, as far as that specific process. There's a lot of times when embargoes come out for a game that you have a key for that don't take into account the fact that it's going to come out in Australia the day before. So we're under an embargo. We said, yes, we'll take this key, but
I hate that.
I will not post a video until 1
So-
p.m.
And then it comes out 24 hours early in Australia.
Exactly. And so every motherfucker who didn't get a code is already streaming it. And
Yeah.
in some ways, you almost wish you hadn't taken the code in the
Right.
embargo, because
It can backfire,
I
man.
can't say anything to you about streaming a game that's available in the world already.
Right. If,
It can
if
totally
the game's only like
backfire.
2 hours long, then it's like, man, I could have played, beaten, and reviewed this already before the embargo lifts. Yeah. All right, let's move along. That was a nice little tangent, though.
Yeah, so Paper Beast has gotten a free demo for those who weren't aware. It is on the store. You can go download it. Guys in the chat, anybody that's played the demo, let me know
What's in it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
what's in it? I want to know what part is it. Is it the beginning where you start out like under the thing? But
I would
yeah.
guarantee it's the exact same demo I played at PAX East.
Is
Oh, the
does that
beginning.
include the part where it starts spraying out all the tape
Yeah.
and stuff?
no, oh,
No, that's really cool.
That-
I
that's
like that part.
that's the end of the demo where it's like spraying out and it's creating a storm, and then you go into the cave and they close the rock, and then boom, that's the end of the demo.
Yeah, that should be fun.
that
Chap-
okay. I was thinking something else. There's lots of stuff spraying in that game.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Speaking of demos, also as far as Iron Man demo goes, people were wondering like, how does the game match up to it? The demo is pretty much the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
It's just the
Right.
whole first chapter. Like you get the whole first chapter, so that's 1-to-1. I didn't see any real changes.
It's
between the two.
it's the first like kind of action part of the first
Yeah.
chapter,
Yeah.
and then like part of the tutorial. But yeah, I don't know if anybody picked up the Paper Beast thing. Brian and I had mixed reviews on it. I think it's good overall.
I don't think mine
It's
was
beautiful.
mixed. Yeah, it's beautiful, but it's boring.
I think it's intriguing because initially you think, what makes this stuff tick? What do I need to do here? Because there's no guidance. It's one of those things where you figure it out. But it's not unsubtle about helping you kind of environmentally figure out what you need to do. But I think it's very otherworldly. It's very cool. And I love the effects on the creatures that are made out of that paper, because it allows for a lot of expression and certain animations that you don't see that often at this level of quality in VR. And they look great. I mean, they look really crisp, despite the fact that the world around it looks pretty, you know what I mean? But
Just as
Yeah.
a warning, if this is the same demo that I played at PAX East before the game came out, I came away from that demo very, very positive. Me and Mikey Sensei were there, and we tried it out, and we were like, man, this is so cool. This is way better than we thought it was going to be. And like, we were very, very hyped on this game when we left. And then I got the full game, and everything after that was just like, it didn't feel as, they weren't delivering kind of a story and giving the creatures as much personality. Pretty much from that point on, I felt anyway. So I thought the beginning was really exceptionally well done, and the rest of it sort of didn't follow through on that. There are some really great moments in this game, but just keep in mind that like I think the demo sort of gives a false impression where it's like it's
I don't know, because I wasn't really sold from the beginning either.
well, I mean, I think
that was
it's not
just
a
my
false
experience
impression
from PAX
to show you
East.
one of the cool moments in a game, because there are, like you said, plenty of cool moments in that
Yeah.
game. So it's not disingenuous to single one out and say, "Hey, there's stuff like this in the game."
I'm just saying it's like that. My final impressions were nowhere near my initial impressions from the demo. So it's a personal thing. I think everyone's going to come out of it
Yeah.
a little bit differently.
I guess nobody really had that experience of playing it like months before and having like an idea in their head. Because AJ and I obviously didn't play that demo, so
Right.
I went into it cold, and I liked it pretty well. But yeah, you guys want to move on?
Yeah, I would definitely recommend just checking out the demo. It's a free PSVR demo. It's fun, good stuff.
Kaz is
No
one of
harm.
the few people that ever notices this, even though I bring it up all the time. It says Dave is waving through his hair every 10 seconds. Yeah, the shit. Look at this shit.
Also, I can hear your jacket like every 2 seconds. It's like
Oh, I'll take it off. It is a loud jacket, actually. I'll take it off. People just ask to see it, so.
Real quick, hit me, Dave, before we move on to the next one. That is Donatello. the scientist game cat, with the $5 donation, says, "I told you, I don't want to join your super secret boy band."
Might be my favorite one yet. That is good, because the only thing better than a boy band is a super secret boy band that no one's ever heard of. And
Oh, Lord Vader's chiming in now.
Put me down.
Darth Vader says, with the $4.99 donation, says, "We will all submit to the might of the Empire." I can't do it.
I was enjoying it.
Yeah, I don't know. I try to get just extra close to the mic, so I don't know.
You sound like Bane.
All right. Oh, yes. It's time for the next one.
Oh my God.
So we have
Thank you guys for your
Paper Beast
donations.
demo.
We love it.
Ooh. Brian, you're gonna like this one.
Is this fucking Welcome Back, Cotter? What year is this?
Oh man! So,
Also,
Resident
90%
Evil
of the
7,
people
Brian.
in the
Hold on.
chat don't even
Resident
know
Evil
Welcome
7.
Back. Yeah.
It's not getting your attention. Like,
No,
that's
dude,
the one word in your
I
vocabulary.
read the run of
Resident
show.
Evil
I know
7.
what's coming up.
So, I got this from a tweet from Wario64 who says, "Resident Evil 7 Biohazard document file hardcover art book is up for pre-order on Amazon for $29.99 with 152 pages. Includes undisclosed concept art and CG visuals, interviews, photo albums, storyboard, and more. Translated to English for the first time." Brian, are you buying this?
How much is it?
I want
29.
to roll you back a second. It's not for the first time in English. The Japanese version is actually printed in both English and Japanese. So if you
So
wanted
for
it
the
right
first
now,
time in
you
North
can get
America.
it. On Play Asia, they have the soft cover Japanese version that has both Japanese and English, and I think the contents are the same otherwise.
Interesting.
I think this is just going to be a hardcover one that doesn't include the Japanese stuff. So, but it seems really cool. A lot of behind the scenes, a lot of went into making the game. I actually thought when I saw it, I was like, man, I should buy this for Brian, like as a present or something.
Is it document file? Is that what it's called? Is
Yeah,
that what-
document file.
I'm looking
Yeah,
at it on
but-
PlayAsia right now.
$29.99 to all Resident Evil 7 fans. There should be a lot of you.
Wow. This
Yeah,
is pretty cool.
Yeah, you gonna get it?
Probably.
It's Resident Evil 7, dude.
I know,
You can't
I know.
go
It's-
one day without saying Resident Evil 7.
And I know you're a collector.
And it's
too.
your answer
Right.
to every.
Yeah.
Whenever anybody asks Brian about a question about PSVR, he's just like Resident Evil 7.
But I've
Resident Evil 7.
been really good. Yeah, no, I'm a one trick pony, that's for sure. But I've been really good about, like, I've been paring down the collection and also like getting rid of that collector mentality, and just being like, if it's something I'm super crazy into, should I get it? And so anytime someone goes, hey, there's this cool thing and it's something that you like, I go, it takes me a minute to go, is this something that I need in my life, or is this something that I'm going to put up on a shelf and go, good, it's taking up space. So
Well, I think
a
a cool episode would be like maybe you read through it a little bit, let Jeremy borrow it, and then you guys do a Why We Love again about RE7, having read that and knowing all the behind the scenes stuff, and like dishing, like for people who haven't had a chance to read it.
Have you met Jeremy? He's not going to do homework.
He doesn't read.
I don't read. I love to read, and I don't read because I don't have time for it.
RE7 though, right?
Yeah, Jeremy's actually the smartest person I know, which means I don't know enough people. But still, he's really smart. So he probably does read more than I give him credit for. He probably reads a lot. I don't know. I'm just making up
He's
stories.
got a
I
lot
don't
of
know.
knowledge up there in that,
Maybe
knocking
I don't know
around that
anything
knowledge.
about Jeremy, as it turns out. I don't know anything about him. It might not even be his real name. He could be operating under a pseudonym.
Miles Dyer is trolling hard in the chat. So out of Coaster and Sharknado, what game do we think is going to edge out the other in getting PSVR Game of the Year? I got to give
Good Dog,
money
Bad Dog.
to Sharknado over Coaster. Sharknado.
I would play Sharknado 100 times over than to play Good Dog, Bad Dog one more time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think yeah, we're gonna go off.
Truth.
We're gonna do a write-in, Miles, and we're gonna do Good Dog, Bad Dog. All right, what's our next story, AJ?
All right. So the PS Plus games for July have been announced, and one of them is not a VR game, but it has a VR mode. Rise of the Tomb Raider. So be on the lookout. It hasn't updated yet. I don't know when.
It's usually like the 4th or something. It's not the first ever. It's like you get a few extra days for the last month's game before they roll out the new one.
Okay,
yeah,
right.
should be
That makes sense.
should
That's a
be
good call on Sony's
later
part
this week.
because we're a bunch of forgetful people.
Oh yeah, no, I forget to take the trash out all the time and shit. It's like, it's Tuesday again. Fuck! I just heard the guy drive past my house.
Sony knows what's up. All right.
So, but yeah, the VR mode in this is just exploring Lara Croft's house.
It looks
A
nice.
little bit of reading through documents. It does look pretty good, although I don't know if this is just a factor of me playing it very early in the VR life cycle, but I got kind of sick playing this game. This made me a little motion sick, a little queasy, which is
I did too.
unusual because most things don't.
Yeah, I did
You did
too,
too,
but
so-
I went back. Just like Robinson before. I went back and it was like everything was fine. Probably just because it was an early experience.
I think so too, yeah. But just keep in mind there is a chance it might make you queasy. And it's not like a Tomb Raider game. It's more like behind the scenes kind of cool backstory stuff
Right.
in a creepy dark mansion.
So normally we'd say if you already own the game, it's an awesome bonus for PSVR owners. But now that it's free, you might as well download it for free, check it out, and then I don't know, man. There's too many Tomb Raider games.
It's a good one. I mean, the last couple have been very solid flat screen entries in the genre, or not the genre, but
Uncharted kind of killed Tomb Raider for me. I know this is a very good game though.
I
but-
think Tomb Raider killed Uncharted for me because
yeah, Tomb Raider realized what Uncharted was doing and reincorporated that.
it was the
stuff.
bow. It was the
back
bow.
into
Before, like without move controllers, I can't stand. Well, actually, I did like Horizon Zero Dawn, so that's not entirely true. But I liked Horizon Zero Dawn because there was stuff other than a bow and arrow.
I have something to say about this. I don't know why every VR developer thinks I want a zillion bow and arrow games just because I've got a VR headset.
Well,
There
the
are
moves.
so
I like
many-
the moves. 1-to-1 tracking is fun
Yeah,
to do with
but
a
it's
bow and
like-
arrow.
It's like everybody had that same idea and was like, let's make an archery game. And it's like, okay, I've seen
works.
way too many
It
of
works.
these fucking things. It works, but it's like, come on. I never asked for archery.
well,
Never.
we never asked for
I
wave
never
shooters
asked.
either. But look how many of those we got. So
Exactly.
yeah.
yeah, now we're
puzzle
getting
games.
we're getting to the point now where people are like, yeah, there's a fucking lot of these. Let's make something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
for sure.
But anyways, once that comes out, download it. It's free. Check out the flat game for maybe
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah,
But-
Dave, do you remember how
or
long the VR section of this was? It's been a long time,
It's
man.
probably about an hour tops. Like, it's just really exploring. There's not a whole lot of gameplay per se, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
No.
And it's really just like an add-on experience like they used to throw in with the game.
Right.
What's next, AJ?
All right, so noticed this earlier, and Killing Floor got an update, and then I saw Lipnox post in the Discord the specifics on it, and Killing Floor Incursion has added an update that fixes a crash, a hard crash that was in the game, but also added increased speed and increased turn speed to Killing Floor Incursion. So pretty decent game when it goes on sale for like $7 to $10. I mean, it's worth maybe 15, 20, but
Yeah, at full price. Because has this been 20 since launch, or did it launch at 30?
I want to say it launched at 30, but that's
I'm gonna do a quick
Yeah,
search on psprices.com and find out because
In the meantime, we've
Yes.
got a tip. AJ, do you want to read this one?
yeah,
I
sure.
don't want to read it. I'm not going to read it.
Don't leave me.
Original Uber bitch, the bearded game cat with the 5 donation says, "Shout out to Dave's good Charlotte hair. You're the skater boy to my Avril Lavigne."
I'm not showing my face anymore
That
on
is
this
brilliant.
podcast. You are only going to see Tree Guy. There is no more Dave. There is only Tree Guy. Fuck you guys.
Hit
It's
Tree Guy
quarantine
one more
hair.
time.
It's quarantine hair. Damn it.
Let go of me. Okay.
That is David Moore with the $9.99 donation says, "Gamer chick is my bestie, and I don't care who knows it. Also, how about Saints and Sinners still front runner for Game of the Year?
Yeah, spoiler.
Still
I
on
think-
sale? Go buy it. Oh shit, it's still on sale. Yeah,
Oh,
if you haven't
sweet.
bought Saints and Sinners yet, absolutely go buy it.
yeah,
It's definitely a lot closer to Game of the Year than a game we'll be talking about later in this stream.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, man. We still have some time. We still have, we're going to talk about Dreams here pretty soon. The potential for that. We still have like Pistol Whip coming out and stuff. So, but as of right now, yeah,
Yeah.
Saints and Sinners still is my number one PSVR game.
game of the
Period.
year. Ooh, period.
Not-
As much
not-
as
yeah,
as much
period.
as I
I'll go with
love
Game of the Year.
Pistol Whip, as much as I love Pistol Whip, I can't see it coming anywhere close to Saints and Sinners. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah,
Guys, as far as Killing Floor Incursion goes, that is awesome that they updated this thing. Yeah, it did launch at $30, by the way, which seems at this point excessive, but I think when it came out,
Very
it was
excessive.
it was a little more reasonable because we were probably hurting for games at that point. But now, yeah, $20 is a decent price. Pick it up whenever it goes on sale for even less than that. It's so awesome to see that these guys are still supporting their game because, man, it had a few issues at launch, and they fixed those not that long ago. And then here they are again with a bunch more.
It still has some issues every now and then. Like, it's not perfect yet, but that was one thing that killed it was this wonderful co-op game, but then it had these awful bugs when you played it co-op. So they did improve it for sure. But still some issues. Looks like they fixed a couple more though. I don't really remember turning being too slow or the walk speed being too slow. I actually thought it was kind of fast.
But that'll help in the first boss, because the first boss I'm always running backwards and just like he's coming after me, and I felt like I was always just a little too slow for him. But hey, maybe that'll help now. Yeah, good stuff, man. Good stuff. Definitely a better $20 game than a $30 game. Let's move along. What do we got?
All right. So, Brian, before the GAMESCAST, you hit me up, and this is probably one of the most surprising games. I'm so intrigued by this game now. Swordsman VR. I think Alex is his name. Gave you some new footage to look at. And, man, this game, the more I see about it, I am shocked. Like, I see this, and I'm like, this is not a Sin Studio game, but, man, I am like really hyped for this game now. It is looking really good. He sent us a new video of him kind of messing around with the physics. It's like a demonstration of the physics in the game, and it just looks beautiful, and the physics look really good, and the environment looks really good, and I am very, very much looking forward to this game, and I cannot wait to try it. I hope every time he shows us something more, it seems pretty cool. And you've got some more information on this game as well that you can share.
Before we share information, he's taking a second here. I hope it's a case of bad name, good game, because the name is bad. Swordsman VR is not a good name. But what you're showing here in this video, I assume Brian's got it playing right now, is something really interesting to me that I haven't seen in any other game, even ones that have like physics-based combat and stuff like that. What it's showing is that as you rank up your strength, as you become more powerful, the physics react differently. And that's kind of a cool RPG idea that I don't think I've seen anyone try before. You know, like adjusting the heft of a weapon based on your character becoming much stronger than he was to begin with. So, I mean, I'd be super down for that in a game. It looks like an interesting concept and a cool mechanic.
Yeah, apologies to anyone watching the trailer in the corner right now. Apparently, that is the one I had from last week. Give me 2 seconds to download the updated one so they know what you're talking about. We might even go full screen with this one because I am pretty impressed with the way that it looks and with the way that it seems to move. I was talking to Alec a little bit before the stream, before tonight's show, and he was saying that it doesn't seem like, the PC specs that they're working with right now seem to be working no problem whatsoever, like a perfect port to PlayStation 4 Pro, and that's sort of like their target right now. And then they got to see like what they have to do to get it running on the PlayStation 4 OG. So it sounds like what you see is actually what you get in terms of the PS4 Pro version.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like it would be super intensive. It's not like there's a whole lot going on in the background. It's just sort of like
it seemed like there was some dust and some sand and some stuff flying around. And
shouldn't be too hard.
And for a small dev team, we know that Sin Studios is often just one person, if not a couple people on occasion.
Yeah.
And so to get the physics right and stuff, that can sometimes be a little CPU intensive.
Yeah, and I want to say here, we can never write off a dev entirely because the Mervils story exists. Everyone played Mervils and they were like, this is like, except for Brian, they were like, this is kind of like a janky.
A lot of people liked it, actually.
It's true.
I was usually the one that was like trying to bring it down, and I was usually like in the corner by myself.
But we all love Shadow Legend, right? Everybody said Shadow Legend's good. So
Shadow Legend's very good.
They made a big leap from one game to the next, and I wouldn't put it past another studio to be able to do that with some experience under their belt, because their last few games were not ideal, I will say.
All right. I got it full screen now. We are in the bottom of the screen. Hello. Hey, game.
Oh, I thought it was already full screen.
I know Just Incredible asked, do you only ever fight one other guy at a time? I'm not exactly sure. There was like a menu thing that we displayed like a couple weeks ago or something, and it definitely had like waves and difficulties. So I don't know, and I know there's also a boss fight. And as you defeat these certain bosses, you actually acquire their weapon, like Mega Man. And each one, like one has like the Stormbringer, which is like an electric one. One has some kind of like one made of poison, or one that's like poison, one that's made of stone, and then there's like one that's like made of hellfire or something. That's really cool. But I just love the look of these physics. And Brian, you've got some notes. I don't know if you can see in the Discord, or Dave, if you can read those in the Discord.
Yeah, Dave, if you don't mind doing that.
Yeah, sure. So here's what this is from the developer, right?
Yeah.
Directly from the developer.
Directly from Alex.
He says, notes on video. Weight is simulated. Your strength stat is upgradable and will affect how effective your handling is. Some weapons are too heavy for new players, and you can go into battle with any weapon you want, but each item has a recommended strength level in the shop as a warning. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Second point, he says the enemies are also physically simulated, so there's full physics between all weapons and combatants. We experimented with enabling physics between weapons and the player's own body, but it was janky and prone to accident, so it's not enabled right now. We may allow it as an option. Now that's interesting. Weapons and the player's own body. Like if someone could chop my arm off, that would be interesting. That would be just like waving my sword with my left hand trying to get back at him.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Some Monty Python shit right there.
Yeah, a quick update on the PSVR port. Recent tests have shown, this is what you just said before, actually, that it runs on a PS4 Pro. They're going to begin QA with Sony this month. So an August or September release is highly likely. All right, so that's pretty soon.
That is crazy.
Budget, potentially.
Right, and this is like, obviously we want to, like you were saying, you don't want to write off any developers ever, and we want to give them the benefit of the doubt. They've had a couple maybe overpriced budget games, I guess would be the nice way of saying it. And if they could price this one accordingly and not rush it out and make sure everything's good to go, then I think this could be the first like really impressive game from them.
I am a little bit skeptical that an August-September release is highly likely, as he says, because it just doesn't seem feasible to me. Like Zero Caliber seems way further along in terms of what they have to show off as an early access game. And even I don't think are going to make 2020. They keep saying 2020, but it just doesn't seem like it's feasible or it's going to happen from what I've heard. So I think, if you haven't even tested it on a base PS4 and you think it's going to come out next month, maybe, I don't think so, bro. Like you got to make sure it runs on a base PS4 first, and Sony will have tons of feedback, I'm sure.
The great thing. The great thing about talking to these devs all the time, we talked to Reggie, we talked to Martin over at Cluse, and it's like, it seems like small studios with like one or two people at the helm can get things done so much faster because they just like oh, we need to do this, okay, done. It's like
you're flexible. You've got a lot more flexibility.
Right.
The bigger your organization is, the harder it is to get anything done quickly.
Right.
Real quick, Nihilus Brian, the game feline.
Leaving my body, no!
5 buccarinos, and he says, "Thank you guys for everything you do." Heart, and then he's going back to his HOTUS training. Good luck, man. It's hard using the HOTUS. It's fun, but it's not easier.
Hit that again for me, man, because we missed one.
Do that.
Ryan's Donatello, the scientist game cat, says, "I'm a huge fan of the way you lose control and turn into an enormous green rage monster." $5 donation. Thank you very, very much.
Iron Man quotes. Keep them coming.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. I just assumed.
I have to assume. Yeah.
All right, guys, thank you again for all the donations. You've been very, very generous. It sounds like I might get a pizza tonight, and I'm going to be very excited about that.
Gamer Chick asks, how do I feel about the vacuum pickup mechanic in Swordsman? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with vacuum picking up items in VR games, because otherwise it is a pain in the ass to grab items, and people struggle with that. It's just, until we get some kind of tracking that can like reach the ground, no problem. I am absolutely okay with that. It does not hurt the immersion at all.
Well, the other thing is, even when you have tracking that can reach the ground, it's still fun. Like Half-Life Alyx, the gravity gloves, that shit is awesome. That's like my favorite mechanic in the whole game, because you point at something and you like fling it towards you and then you catch it in the air. And it's real satisfying when it's like a clip and you just pack it in your thing.
It works. It works in VR. It's one of those things where
Yeah,
it's like keep it as a game first and foremost.
Yeah.
And that vacuum to pick up stuff is definitely one of those gamey things that can stay. I'm all for that.
It's so gamey. Here, let me show you guys some of the bosses here that I got pictures of. So that's one of the bosses there.
By the way, I got to say too, when Dave was reading that whole description, Brian, you were playing the music behind it in that video. So it was all like playing the music and Dave was talking and it was just epic. It was great.
I know. I saw the levels and I was like, good. Let's leave that playing there. There's another boss character for you there.
You must find another shrubbery.
How we really are Monty Python the fuck out of this. There's a good Monty Python documentary. I don't know if it's on Netflix or Hulu, but I was watching it and I was like, man, it's like I'm not like the biggest fan of comedy anymore, but when I was in junior high, like I loved Monty Python, and it's a nice trip down memory lane, man. Really
I
nice.
created a template for so many people, man. Sketch comedy would not be the same. without
Some
Monty
may call me Tim.
So
Nobody
ridiculous.
expects the Spanish Inquisition.
Oh my god, we are the biggest fucking dorks in
Are
the
you
world right now.
Are you ready for the
With
next
the
game?
fluffy pillow.
I think we're ready for the next game.
That final
Yeah.
picture are the boss weapons, by the way. Those are the some cool looking swords, and all the pictures I showed before that were the bosses. And now it is time to move along.
Just die.
So I've got I got a little bit more information on humanity. Just a little bit of the inspiration behind it, and this actually comes via the official PlayStation magazine. They just released the new issue with the PS5 on it. I love this magazine.
Magazines about PlayStation.
I do, dude.
It's a creature of a bygone era. It's awesome.
Official PlayStation magazine is the shit. I highly recommend that.
Europe or something?
Oh no, I just do the digital.
digital.
I think it's like $9 for like every 3 months or something.
Yeah.
It's pretty cheap, and so in this one, it mostly had PS5 stuff. It talked about just stuff we already knew, but it's got this list of the hot 53 games that are coming out. Iron Man actually was on here as well.
How did we get to 53? How are there hot 53?
Well, because there's a bunch of games that weren't part of that big Sony reveal that are actually in this magazine, and they were just talking about how it's like the biggest magazine yet. But anyways, they just go a little bit into detail about some of the inspirations behind humanity. Of course, we know this is going to be a PSVR supported title by Dave Station's favorite guy ever, Tetsuya Mitsuguchi, who made Tetris Effect. Yeah, Enhanced Games. It's being published by them. But it says equally quirky is the game project from design company the LTD, and he goes on to say it's inspired by the flight patterns. So in this game, you're essentially controlling. There's like a bunch of people running around. I don't know if you guys have seen the trailer. Maybe Brian's got the gameplay going.
I do,
But
and I've
says,
also got the music playing. So when you're talking, it'll be an epic thing. You guys, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the chat if you like the music playing in the background or not. And
inspired by the flight patterns of birds and humans' attempts to understand them. This puzzler was initially pitched as a human behavior simulator. With its namesake in your hands, you assume the role of a non-human, transcendental entity trying to understand the behavior of these strange creatures by guiding them towards various goals. The simulated crowds must navigate between atypical point A's and point B's by pushing around obelisks, snaking their way around obstacles, and even swimming through the air. The project is an exercise in taking an alien sense of logic and attempting to apply that to something that wholly resists it.
That sounds. I mean, what that reminds me of is a mixture of two very different things, but it could be really cool. So everyone knows Lemmings, the game of Lemmings, obviously, and that was the first touch point. Everybody said this looks like Lemmings, but like crazy and enhanced game style. Yeah. But the second thing is, I think of is this movie Koyani Scotzi, and I don't know if anyone's seen it between the three of us, otherwise, but maybe somebody in the chat has seen it. And essentially, it's this wordless kind of like Planet Earth documentary with really cool music, and it's like if an alien made Planet Earth, what would they see? What would they think about this planet? And it starts with landscapes and stuff, but then eventually they start going to these like high-speed videos of people on escalators, like in the New York train station, and it's just this sea of people like flowing through. And when you
Right.
see it sped up, it looks the same way as the time-lapse cloud footage they showed you before, in that it's just like a natural flow to things. And that movie has a very specific representation of what humanity is. And that's what I get from this game. And that's really cool. I love that movie. I think this, if it's anything like that, will be awesome. And I trust Mizuguchi, man. This guy's crazy.
I always love how there's this whole deeper meaning behind stuff that people write. Because I look at this and I'm like, ooh, crowds of people with lightsabers running into each other. But yeah, there's like this whole perspective of this game that seems pretty cool. But yeah, it's a game that we've kind of forgotten about, right? It hasn't been mentioned in a while. We haven't seen anything from it. I imagine it's going to also be a PS5 title. But
Yeah, all the indie games that they've been talking about lately on the PlayStation blog, a good percent of them have said PS4 and PlayStation 5. So I think we're going to see a ton of cross-gen indie games like this. It's funny because the first time we heard about this game, there was a huge PlayStation blog post from the director of the game. Of course, I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but they were talking about these patterns, like they were talking about like bird patterns, and saying something along the lines of Japanese subway stations and stuff, where it's just like crowds of people like all gathering, and boom, it's like this whole the dynamic of these huge crowds of people. And I was just like, that is fascinating. That is absolutely fascinating. We'll see if it translates into the gameplay, or if it's just like, oh no, this is just like Lemmings. But
no,
way,
I think it will. I think that's why Enhanced Games is publishing it, and I think that's kind of why we haven't heard from it in a while. I'm sure they're doing lots of work to it. If it's anything like Tetris Effect or Res Infinite, this is going to have the music behind it. Mizuguchi is such a talented composer, and visually, I'm sure there's some crazy looking stuff in this as well. So I would love something of something like Tetris Effect, but a different, kind of game, of course. But
For sure.
it's just, it's just eye opening. There's something so mesmerizing and really like escape. It like helps me escape when I play Mizuguchi games or Enhanced Games.
I wonder if
and
this is
the
still.
interesting thing to me. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just saw in the trailer that says coming 2020. I wonder if it's still going to be a 2020 game.
Really? Yeah.
Seems
that
like
would be
it.
awesome.
It's still listed as 2020 for sure.
Nice. What are you gonna say, Dave?
I think I lost it. It's
Oh,
fine. That
my-
wasn't anything major.
My bad.
Just a,
Can we hit Tree Guy? Get a couple tips in here before we move along.
we got some tips.
Move along.
Red Rover, that's Joe Grover, the effing game cat, with a $5 donation saying, when I saw vacuum pickup in Saints and Sinners, it thought, he probably meant I thought, oh, thank God. I agree. Vacuum pickups are great. 100%
Yeah.
agree
I
with
would be
you.
surprised if Joe
Yeah.
Grover referred to himself as it, though. I wouldn't. Wow, it's a wild
Okay.
man.
That
What do we
works
got?
for me.
This is from the Dark Lord himself, King of the Sith, or whatever. I don't know. Darth Vader. It's Darth Vader. $10. And he says, Brian, AJ, Dave, you all work so hard, and I appreciate all the work each of you do.
Oh.
I may be a Sith Lord. See, I was right about that. But you all bring out my light side. That sounds like a fucking... like a Valentine for Darth Vader.
You should make some
I
Darth
may be a
Vader
Sith
gift.
Lord,
You should make
but
some
you
Darth
bring out
Vader
my light
cards
side.
and go sell them to grocery stores.
Fucking awesome. I
There
love
you
all
go.
you game cats.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we love all you game cats as well. Thank you very much for the donations. Very, very
do.
nice of y'all today. And
You
always.
guys are the best, man.
Very supportive group of people. Very supportive cats. Meow, meow.
All right, so I think our next one is a big one.
This next one is a big one for sure.
Is it a doozy?
Guys, at
It's
long
cool.
last, Dreams has gotten a release date for PSVR, and oh my God,
Just a few weeks. It's coming this month.
not even ready for it, man.
This
We've been asking for it for so long, and now we're not even ready for it.
It's coming in the most packed month you could have possibly asked for. What is
Yeah,
it?
for
Is it
sure.
the 22nd? Is that the date?
July 22nd.
Okay.
Here we go, guys. It is time. So there was the Dreamscom, the very first Dreamscom event was held the other day. And, they had posted before the show, they actually posted a video that was made in collaboration with Sony and Media Molecule. And it was actually like some game that was like, it was a video that was made in Dreams, but then it was like exported using some kind of 8K export tool. And I watched it on YouTube, and it looked fantastic. For the first time ever, I was like, holy crap, this text box is in like 1080p in VR. And just for that alone, it was like almost worth it, worth checking out. But I've got a link to it on my channel. I think Brian might have a link to it as well. But I highly recommend you go check it out, even though it is like a environmental program. But, you know, I had said that I was hoping that we may get some more PSVR news, and that I hope that, you know, Dreams would be more than just art that you could make, like visual art stuff. And lo and behold, guys, it has games.
Games. Yeah, no, I mean, the exciting thing is that we don't even know what people are going to come up with in here. There's no way to predict what I'm going to be playing when this shit drops, or like not even when it drops, but 6 months after it drops, a year after it drops. Like, people will just get better and better at this. In the same way, you know, we see like a developer like God, who made Mervils? I'm going to keep bringing up Mervils.
Vitruvius VR.
Vitruvius. They went from Mervils to Shadow Legend, and I think developers in Dreams can have the same progression. You know, you might play somebody's silly little early game and be like, "Yeah, that's got some promise," and a year later they've made something incredible. Just but they took that time and learned what to do. So I'm very excited, especially to see what they've come up with too. Media Molecule. They always release stuff with a few pre-baked things,
And that's what they're doing too. And that's kind of what they show in the clip of this VR thing. They've got some sculptures you can look at. They've got some game where you're like, it's like your hands with a little puzzle thing. And then they've also got like a little first-person shooter.
Yeah, I was kind of saying behind the scenes a little bit. I was like, oh yeah, Dreams PSVR support's going to be great, I hope. But all I could envision, and I know this is such a dumb thing to say because like they've shown so many different types of games you can make, and there's been so many different types of games. We've seen the Fallout 4 kind of tech demo thing. We've seen the PT recreated in Dreams. But all I could think of when people were like Dreams in VR, I was like, okay, little 3D platformers in VR. And the very first thing they show in this trailer is a hand reaching out and pulling a lever down. And for some reason, that's what clicked in my head and went, oh yeah, no, I'm totally excited. Yeah, let's do this. Yeah, like I want to pull that lever and have like shit jump out at me. Like I've been telling the cats that I want to make a horror game in Dreams in VR, and I know it's going to take the better part of the rest of my natural life, which I'm assuming is like the next 3 years. We'll see how that goes.
Well, I think a cool thing too is that they mentioned, and this will probably be common at some point. They mentioned that with that shooter game that they're coming up with, they're going to release the stuff that made it, so you can make your own stages with the stuff they already built.
Yeah.
So it's like a community workshop thing, like Steam, where they'll put something out there and say, "Hey guys, go crazy with this functionality. Bring us back what you built." So if I can just hop in and make a first-person shooter that's already set up for VR by arranging parts and not even have to construct that stuff myself, I think you'll see people coming up with a lot of creative things. Because people don't know if they haven't played maybe, but there's a lot of resources that you can just pull that other people have created and sort of remix into your own thing. You don't have to handcraft every piece of everything in the game that you're making, which is really cool. Right. It's a collaborative. And I've seen stuff where like somebody uploads a bed and then some other guy will make it like a dirty bed or like a horror room bed.
Are you talking about Rec Room?
Just re-upload the same.
Or just in Dreams already?
Dreams, yeah.
Because they have that in Rec Room as well, where you can save stuff and you can actually share out different models. You can also copyright protect your own models and stuff that you don't want to share.
Well, they also said at some point in this game you'll be able to sell creations that you've made, like export. Didn't they confirm that?
I think there was a rumor about that there was some rumor about maybe potentially being able to post your creations onto the PlayStation Store or something like that, and sell them individually or like license them or something.
Yeah, there was certainly a conversation about that at one point. Right. That was, yeah. And if that's the case, man, what would be great about this is being able to export it for people who don't have Dreams, and then just saying, here it is on the PlayStation Store, and anybody who doesn't have Dreams can go download it and just be like, oh, here's my new little, Dreams thing that I can play. That's totally self-sufficient, doesn't require any external game engine to run it, and I think that is what's going to sell Dreams and what's going to keep Dreams running more than anything else, because you get people in that way. You go, oh dude, somebody just made this thing, and you go, I want to go buy this thing and go figure out what I can make. Go ahead, man. Hit it up. Hit it up.
Joe Grover, the effing GameCat, $5 says, I can totally see a Dreams What We're Playing section of GameCast.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that could be cool at some point. You know, once there's a constant clip of new stuff coming out that's worth checking out, I would love to feature that stuff on here.
Yeah, definitely give like a spotlight to stuff. Absolutely. This, you know, I don't know if VR is the biggest thing to happen to Dreams, but I do know that Dreams is one of the biggest things to happen to VR, not just PSVR, VR. I mean, this is creation tools with a strong ecosystem, a strong community, and, you know, just almost like limitless possibilities, depending on, we'll have to wait and see the more specifics, right? We don't, even though it looks very, very promising at the moment, we still don't know. But at the end of the day, what I had hoped for was that there was just at least some kind of video game support for this. Not just, I would have, like, you know, even art would be cool and stuff, just making like, you know, artistic stuff in VR, but making even just short experimental games in VR is like some next level shit. That is huge for PSVR, huge for VR in general, but I think even bigger for PSVR, because this is just something that, you know, it's an exclusive. Maybe one day it goes to PC as well. But I think if I were Sony, I would definitely be like kind of protecting this for a little bit. But they said they have a 10-year plan. So even after this VR support happens, their next thing they're focusing on is multiplayer. So, I mean, this could really, you know, a 10-year plan. This is going to expand on the PS5. This has so much potential to be just, you know, this is one of those games where it's like Little Big Planet, like you said, a couple years down the line where you go back to it and you're like, holy shit, look at what people have been making over all this time.
Yeah.
And dude, I mean, when you say something like, oh, they're just going to add in multiplayer at some point, that gets me thinking, okay, well, maybe we got the VR, we got the multiplayer, maybe throw in like HOTAS support, and then we've got our own online Starfighter game that we can make and play with other people. Like, there's a
AIM
lot
support,
of possibilities.
I would love AIM support. AIM support and HOTAS support.
Anything you can plug in would be awesome. And I don't see how it would be that difficult, really, considering they already tackled all these other major, you know, things in the implementation.
Yeah,
You just moved.
Hearing that they've already got this thing up and running on PlayStation 5 was awesome news, right? Like that was like, okay, you guys are killing it. You're going to be ready. I don't know if they're going to have like Dreams PS5 ready for launch, but that would be crazy because you got to assume there's going to be some limitations to what you're able to create for PlayStation 4, and we'll see if they give us a little bit more freedom with PlayStation 4 Pro. But also at the same time, I kind of hope that we get a little bit more time before they bring this to PlayStation 5, because as we've all said before, it's the limitations that sort of bring out creativity. And, you know, like I think Static wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the limitations of, you know, the DualShock 4 and having them be like, we want to make a game that everybody can play that has a PlayStation VR headset. You know, it's like everybody's got a DualShock 4, and like, man, what a cool way to like work a limitation into a game. And so I want to see what the limitations of Dreams on PS4 VR will cause people to create, and then be like, okay, now let's blow it out of the water and give people the freedom to create whatever they want in PlayStation 5. It'd be an interesting little roadmap that we're on here.
So obviously my first thing I'm going to try to make is a snowboarding game, and I really hope to be able to accomplish that. Somebody was like, make SSX3. I'm like, okay, first let me make being able to slide down a hill, and then I'll go. I'm going to maybe start with a half pipe. Brian, I know you were maybe thinking of doing like a horror game or horror experience of some sort.
Yeah,
I just love the idea. This is like, to me, this is like Sony's loophole to be able to like not steal licenses, because they're not doing it, but you know, there's already Sonic games. There's like really good Sonic games in here that you could imagine just porting to like VR and first person, being able to run and jump around. One of the things that was surprising to me too is, well, I guess it's not fair. We still have to wait and see, but the clarity, once again, the clarity of that video I saw was pretty good, and that was really surprising. But you know, I'm almost curious if that export tool that was used to make that 8K video, if that's going to be a feature of PS5.
That would be awesome if you
Yeah.
could share like a video like the one that they shared to promo Dreams on
Right.
YouTube and just like upload your fucking
Export.
cinematic masterpiece. That would be so cool.
Yep. Yep.
Get out of here! It's hard!
Donatello the Scientist Game Cat, $5 once again says, contrary to popular belief, I know exactly what I'm doing. That sounds like something Tony started.
That does sound exactly like that. Guys, Dreams PSVR support coming July 22nd. Now here's, I mean, how much time have you guys both spent in Dreams?
Not much. I did some surfing, the Dreamiverse, as they call it.
Yeah.
And it was fun. I saw some cool things. I saw a lot of crap, but I don't know. I haven't been there in months, so I'm sure there's been some leaps and bounds in terms of what's out there. And the curious thing for me is, like, are they going to allow people a way to build stuff that's VR ready before VR drops, and you flip it over and it's a VR game, or do you have to develop from the very ground up? Like, if someone's made a 2D game, I want to know what it takes to make that
Right.
a VR game.
Yeah.
And what involved in that process. So I'm sure somebody out there will show us.
I know people have already been creating stuff in anticipation of the VR patch dropping, but yeah, we still don't know how exactly that is going to end up working.
Yeah.
If you
I'm
wanna
just.
take-
What's that? Oh, go
I'm
ahead.
going to take this next.
But you get out of my home!
That is Dead Ringer with a $5 donation. What's up, my dude? He says, "Hey guys, happy 4th of July weekend. Happy 4th of July weekend to everybody out there." Says, "Thanks for another great show. Psyched for Dreams VR, the only game I have played flat in a very long time." So yeah, I actually have dabbled in this from here and there, do the dream surfing. I did the creation tools when there was like the beta originally, like I think middle of last year, and it was a lot. I mean, it's doable, but you do have to take a lot of time learning the tools and stuff. But they did say that when they launched this, in addition to their pre-made VR games that Media Molecules made, they are going to be launching new tools that come with the VR version, and also that flat users will be able to benefit from those as well. So there are going to be some new tools, and if flat users benefit from them as well, I don't know what that means exactly, but that could be maybe for exporting their stuff into a VR thing, possibly.
I would absolutely love to say that I'm going to spend some serious time with Dreams before the VR patch drops. I just can't really make that promise. I'm a little nervous that my first experience with Dreams is going to be on the 22nd, and that scares the hell out of me because I'm like, I need to get some kind of like foundation, I think, before because there's going to be so many things that translate over.
Don't go in expecting to be able to build anything anytime
Yeah,
soon.
no.
Even if you start early. Like, Robbie B, the English Game Cat, says this here, and I kind of tend to agree with him. He says, I'll be straight with you guys. You three definitely won't have the time to learn the logic. It's super difficult.
Yeah.
And I think that's true. Like, there's people, like, for instance, Seraphim, one I know, he's dedicated, like, a ton of time to learning these tools and creating, like, Space Harrier remakes and stuff as proof of concept. And, that took him a lot of time and effort. And I don't think, the three of us really have the space.
Trying to run the channel and do this stuff is going to be tough for sure.
I can't wait to play other people's stuff that they
made. Exactly. People are already talking about like remaking Beat Saber and like putting like custom songs for it and stuff, making their own custom songs for Beat Saber. Brian, this is, if I were to summarize Dreams a certain way, is it can pretty much do anything. It can imitate just about anything, but it does it in like a slightly jankier way. Like it can recreate anything, but it's like kind of a janky. It's very charming, and it's very close to and faithful to the original. But it's always like a little bit like doesn't control as well as the real thing, if that makes sense.
Well, that's usually probably because one guy made it in a tool set that nobody's really 100% familiar with yet.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I can't wait to play everyone's stuff. That is obviously going to be where I start. I'm going to be just playing the crap out of everything that I can find. There's going to be a lot of trash. There's always a lot of trash, but that's the beauty of it, man. You always find like the little hidden gems amongst all the garbage. All right, guys, we're definitely excited for Dreams coming July 22nd, but it's probably time to move on.
Oh, what do we got next?
If it's time to move on, then gentlemen,
Ideas
GameCats,
Studio.
it is time to talk about Iron Man VR.
Yes.
My goodness.
So this game, of course, comes out at midnight. We received let's make sure we make this clear. Sony provided us with a copy. Review keys provided by PlayStation. Hashtag game provided by PlayStation.
Yeah,
I think we're safe now, right?
There's all sorts of things you're supposed to do when Sony hooks you up.
There's so many things that you have to do right, and we don't want to piss them off
I have
because
to
we
show
love
you
them.
all my Sony PlayStation brand that they gave me with a hot iron.
Don't piss
Right
off the mothership.
I'm so
is all
jealous.
I'm
I want to be branded.
But no, so Iron Man comes out tonight. Now we want to make sure we don't give away any spoilers.
Right.
But we have a
Spoiler-free
lot
discussion.
to talk about in this game. If you guys are on the fence, if anybody is out there on the fence has any questions about the game, please feel free to ask us and we can answer it as best we can. But yeah, Brian, why don't you take it away with what? Oh wait,
quick,
hold on.
guys.
Before, yeah, real quick.
I'm gonna knock this tip out, and then I
Yeah,
want
I
to
saw
run
that.
to the bathroom real quick because we've been here for a minute. I know we're about to be here for another minute, so
All right.
I'll be right back in just a sec. But Joe Grover, the effing GameCat, once again,
Treeland!
he's in Treeland, $10. Says I'm wondering how they will QA VR games. Just throwing stuff into VR has a lot of ramifications if not done right. You're effing with people's visual system and cognition. It's deep. Gonna be interesting.
Luckily,
I
they
think
did
they're
say
gonna have to bake in a level of this game won't run unless it's going this speed, this frames per second, and like there's comfort ratings that people vote on in the community, and they say this game will make you puke, and so you can see in the listing this game will make you puke, or this game's super comfortable. So there's a community-driven rating system for how intense games are going to be. I think that should be helpful.
If you are sensitive to motion sickness and stuff, definitely don't play my games.
I hope it's
mine will destroy you.
I hope it's
He's going to make a mixture of Scavenger's Odyssey, Wipeout, and a few other things. What were you going to say, Brian?
The user ratings are promising and saying that, to kind of like let the community tell other gamers if this game's going to make them sick or not. But I also hope that there's like a Mario Maker system in place where like you have to beat your own game to be able to publish it. Because
I hope so too.
right, because you could totally throw someone for a loop and go, man, I'm just going to make you fucking sick, and if it doesn't have any ratings, you're not going to know about it until it's too late. But if the creator was able to finish it themselves, that would eliminate a lot of those problems.
All right, so Dave, go ahead and go. While you're doing that, Johnny Ripeout the Stray Cat with the 279 donation says loading. Loading. Johnny Ripeout with the Stray Cat with the 279 donation says loading. Guys, loading. Johnny Ripeout the Stray Cat with the 279 donation says loading. Loading. So of course,
are we waiting for breathtaking? Is that the thing we're hoping to get here?
Oh shit! You called it. That has to be the next one. So yeah, we're about to do a really really deep dive into Iron Man. What's the thing? No spoilers, but is there an end tag?
An end tag? What's an end tag?
What's an end tag? Hard to get says Iron Man VR still downloading on my system. 7 hours left. It is a 50 gigabyte game.
It had a 50 gigabyte patch.
Well, is it 50 gigs and then 50 gigabyte patch?
I'm pretty sure.
It's 100 gigs?
I am pretty sure
I think it's 50 gigs total,
okay.
But I could be wrong.
I mean, we actually downloaded it like 3 times because of some snafu that happened behind the scenes.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure that because version 1.04, which dropped like last night, I think, I can't remember, wasn't huge, but the patch I downloaded before that, I swear was as big as the full game. So keep an eye out. Make sure that before you start the game, you've downloaded all the patches because there are some performance optimizations. And of course, Johnny Ripeout with the Stray Cat with the I think the final part of this tip. Yeah. He says loading, breathtaking, loading. Thank you, Johnny Ripeout, for that elongated tip. Remember, elongated.
Dave just posted in the chat that his internet went out. It's definitely storming here in the south. 48 gigabyte total size for what you call it. 48 gigabytes is the total size. He's rebooting his router. He'll be back in just a second. But
is it raining? Is it snowing? Is a hurricane blowing? That's all I got.
Let's see.
Until I get Tornado, that's all the storm references I got. Which, by the way,
So
only 8 more days, literally 2 days after the next GAMESCAST. Jeremy and I are going to go to Connecticut and get Tornado. Actual game cat. So excited. My apartment still looks fucking terrible. I'm not ready for a cat, but I'm going to clean it. I promise, Mom.
do you have any? I need to like not look at the screen because if that video keeps looping, that's gonna drive me nuts.
The Iron Man one?
Yeah. Do you have like different Iron Man videos you can swap?
Yeah, dude, whatever, man. You know, it's like I've got all sorts of shit I could put on the screen right now. I don't know. What do we got here? Do I maybe my I don't know. Maybe I got a gameplay here somewhere. Oh, here it is. Here's my first impression video.
Come on, Dave's internet. Let's go, Dave's
right.
internet.
So we'll wait for Dave to come back. But I think it'd be fair to say, let's just before we get into our first impressions. I think leading up to launch was interesting. Was interesting for Iron Man because it's not terribly often we get a demo like so far out and be like, what was it, like a month ago we got a demo? And it was like, and I think the crazy part about that was that the demo was so divisive. I couldn't believe it when I jumped in there and I was like, this is amazing. You're like, it feels, you're flying and you take off from the ground and you're just like, and everything looked pretty cool. And, and then you're able to just have these very cool abilities and do all this shit. And then I saw the comments and some people were like, yeah, I don't know. It didn't really do anything for me. Oh, I hated the controls. I thought this game looked terrible. And so it's just crazy when you see stuff like that, when you're like, man, this blew me away. First impressions were incredible. And then you hear other people like, no, it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I was surprised, going, if we're talking about like some of the other reviews and stuff, I agree with a lot of what the other reviews said. But the one thing I think I disagreed with is whenever I saw one of the reviews say like they're like the controls weren't really well done or anything like that. I thought that was kind of strange. Oh, by the way, the end tag means that he says no spoilers, but David Moore actually filled me in and said, does that mean like there's another, does it set up a sequel or something? And I will tell you, as of right now, no, there's no really indication of a sequel for this game that's like crystal clear. However, I will give you guys a little secret just for you for waiting around while Dave comes back. There is possibly an alternate ending to this game, and that I will let you know. There is something secret. I'm not going to give you any more details about what it is or anything.
Yep.
But there is supposedly some extra secret thing you can unlock in this game.
Yeah, it's super important. Like, it's super important for us to not, to spoil things for you guys. Obviously we feel pretty privileged to be able to have been able to play it already and get kind of that information out to you guys and let you know our thoughts on it. But I think, a big part of this is the story, and I think the story was really well told. And I think if we, really went too far into depth about that, or even showed you footage from like later in the game, it would really ruin some stuff. I was very, very careful not to show anything past the first few stages, which do get repeated. And so I sort of like had an easy out there. It was like some of the stages you see again. So yeah, but anything after that, I was just like, you know what? There's got to be a cutoff somewhere where I just feel like I'll be spoiling things if I even show some of that footage. Dave, welcome back, Cotter. How's it going?
Hell yeah! So good to have you back, Dave. And it is time now to talk about Iron Man VR. Brian, take it away. What is this game? What is it? What's going on with it? Just tell us. Let's start from the beginning. This is why we love PlayStation VR Iron Man Edition.
All right, well then, Iron Man VR, which came out tonight, July 3rd, 2020, for $39.99. Upgraded bonus edition for $49.99. AJ, what kind of game is Iron Man VR?
Iron Man VR is an action adventure set in the Marvel. I don't think of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but it's based on Iron Man.
So you're saying it's not a wave shooter, is what you're saying?
It's not necessarily. I wouldn't actually call it a wave shooter. I would definitely call it more of an action adventure game. But it also has a story, and it doesn't just encapsulate what it's like and let you, the player in VR, feel like Iron Man, but it also lets you be Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And that's the most underwhelming part of the whole game.
No,
Being Iron Man,
not for me. No, not for me.
I think being Tony Stark is well mechanically. very
gameplay wise, yes.
Yeah, well,
But that's
gameplay
where
is a
the
stretch
heart
for
of the
what this.
story is. That
Yeah,
for me, that's one thing that was really surprising for me, is that you get to see this kind of struggle with Tony Stark and kind of like how his past comes back to haunt him, and it's kind of his own creations and stuff get turned on him, and that's how they introduce Ghost, the antagonist of this
and
game.
the living laser too, who's always a good butt of a joke. It's hilarious.
I definitely was. I don't know if that's a spoiler or not.
No, just the name of a character. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not going to say anything more about him than he's the butt of a joke.
I think they actually mentioned that in one of their blogs, but I intentionally left out any mention of that guy in my review just to have some kind of surprise.
I'm going to talk about more stuff here than I did in my review, but I won't go spoiler. I don't think naming a character is a huge spoiler. He's not like a big reveal or anything. He's, like I said, kind of a silly side character.
Yeah. All right, so the game starts off and you're doing pretty much what you did in the demo, right? You're kind of like flying over Malibu, and they're giving you the tutorial rundown how to do pretty much all the basic flying mechanics, right?
Yeah, it's almost exactly the same as the demo, with a little bit of story between the tutorial and the first mission.
You're testing the suit is what you're doing. He's building new suits. He's given up his weapons, his job of weapons crafting and stuff and selling weapons, to kind of start a new life, to give something back. It even starts off the game with that line where he's like, when somebody has everything in the world, what do? You give something back. And so he does want to become Iron Man now, and that's where you start off in the game, is he's testing his suits to after he's retired from weapons making.
Yeah, and it's a really good. I mean, the story has a very tight message and a core concept, and it all plays into that one kind of. It's like an arc of a comic book or something like that. It covers one section of the Iron Man journey,
right,
and him grappling with his past. A lot of it is about what I used to do was bad for the world, and now I want to give something back. But you can't undo the past.
Right.
It's done. What's done is done. So that comes back to haunt him, as you said, in the form of Ghost. But there are some nice twists to that. It's not as cut and dry as it seems. And there's a few surprises that some of which were a little silly, but for the most part, I enjoyed. I know
exactly what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. But so Ghost, I will say, I said this in the review, that Ghost is not the most popular villain. I think she maybe her biggest height of popularity was actually originally a man, and then they changed it to a woman for the Ant-Man and the Wasp. And that's when they made their first movie appearance, and then they redid it for this one. But originally started from issue 219 in Iron Man. Even though it showed up in that Ant-Man and Wasp movie, it's originally from Iron Man comics. But I gotta say, I really, really liked the voice actors in this whole thing. I thought all the voice actors' characters were great, but Ghost in particular, I love how they doubled down on this scary factor that she has, and she almost, like, every time she appears, her superpower, for those who aren't familiar, she does have this phasing ability, and I love how she kind of stalks Tony Stark as a ghost. Like, they really go hard with this, with the symbolism here about what she is and her purpose and stuff. And I love a supervillain that you can kind of understand and you appreciate. And like when you're like, oh, they're not that bad of a person, because you can see why they're doing what they're doing. And Ghost to me was one of those characters, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, they did a lot of good work here, humanizing that villain, but also making her scary during the times when you have to come up against her. And I really think that the way they implemented what you said, her ability of phase shifting around and hiding and reappearing and stuff, in the parts, and I don't want to spoil too much, but in the parts where you fight against her, that is really, really exciting. And compared to the drones that you fight, so the majority of the combat in the game is sort of like you're in a certain arena, you're in an area, and there are a bunch of drones of varying types. As you get further in the game, they mix a bunch of them together, and it gets more challenging. But outside of that, you'll fight Ghost, and that's a whole different can of worms because she's got a unique moveset. She doesn't behave the same way that the drones do. And those parts were really exciting, I thought, and something different from people who are saying, oh, it's just a wave shooter. You just shoot drones the whole time.
No.
That's not true. There's at least a good 2 or 3 missions where you have to take her on head-to-head, and it's pretty engaging, usually. So I thought that was a bright spot in the game. And her, just as a character overall, I liked really well. I think she's a great villain in this one.
I will say oh, go ahead, Brian.
I mean, I shit on the way the story was delivered a little bit in the review, just saying it was sort of just like thrust at you and you just sit there and kind of take it all in. But one of the things I didn't really mention was how much I really enjoyed the voice acting when you're flying around in, you know, what could be technically considered wave shooter levels. It always made it feel like there was more going on than what was actually happening, right? They're delivering the story in a really good way, and the voice acting was really well done. I know people wanted Robert Downey Jr., but like he's only been, and I could be wrong, like Robert Downey Jr. has always only been in the movies, right? He's not the voice in the cartoon or anything like that.
Right. This guy is like, I think, from the cartoons.
Yeah, this is the shit. I just totally forgot the name of Batman in the animated series. Kevin Conroy. This is the Kevin Conroy of Iron Man. And so like I think he did a great job, and I really enjoyed taking in the story as I'm flying around and shooting stuff down and and then Ghost kind of like phases into your vision and keeps hacking your stuff. And so like sometimes you see Ghost while you're flying around and shooting stuff, and like this is how I want story delivered in VR games. Let me do my thing and also be delivering the story at the same time.
And I like scenes where she pops in are some of the best looking stuff in the game. The animation and just the detail on her face, her character was really good.
She looks awesome, but I love how also when she's hacking you, if there's like a billboard, like a TV screen or something in the background, a tablet, a TV screen, whenever she hacks you, she's also, her face is on that screen as well, almost like anonymous or something. And she's talking to you, and you'll be in the city and you'll see a big TV screen on the side of a building, and her face will be there as well while she's talking to you.
Yeah, there's even a part towards the end of the game where she's like, you're walking down a corridor and she keeps popping out of like every side of the corridor, and like her hands reach out to grab you. It's really intense. It's pretty cool the way they do that stuff.
Yeah. But the gameplay itself, so people are asking, like, you know, is it like a glorified wave shooter? I cannot. I mean, I hate, like, a wave shooter to me.
The answer is yes.
It is.
It is a very, very glorified wave shooter, because there's also some sections where there's like chasing and stuff. It's not like a wave shooter to me is you stay in one spot, stuff comes to you, and you just, like, you know, shoot it, slice it, whatever. This has a little bit more freedom to move around. This has these action set pieces where you do, like I said in the review, you do these superhero type things, where, like, you know, in the demo, there's some debris in the plane wing, and you like grab the wing and rip it out and stuff like that, or you're using like cooling blast, or you're freezing bombs or stuff like that. So there's good.
Sorry, the thing I want to say about that though is that's why it's a glorified wave shooter, because that's the glorification. Those little bits you're talking about, the sprinkles on top. And I want to be clear that those moments are all very scripted, and there's no, I mean, so like he's saying, there's a scene where you go up and you have to pull a thing, and it shows you exactly with an icon where to place your hand and how to do it. There's no thinking. You just go to the spot you're supposed to, you do the thing you're supposed to, and something happens. And so it's not really a mechanic. It's just like a, hey, we spiced this up a little bit. You're not just shooting guys. You might have to pull some metal out of the way too.
Right.
So it's not enough to make it like.
Before you move on from that.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say, like, you know, in a game like Saints and Sinners, you'll walk up to a house or something, and it'll have a boarded up door, like, or boarded up entryway, right? So it's an open door, but there's boards on it, and you could go, I guess I can't get in there. But there's no animation of like you grabbing the boards or pulling them off, or like you taking a bat and hitting it and telling you exactly what to do. In this game, it's like if there are boards on an open area that you have to pull off, the game is like, okay, now the next part of the game is for you to reach and grab these boards and pull them off, and that is literally the only thing you can do to progress the story. So I just want to be clear that like
it waits for you.
Right, it almost feels like the VR version of QuickTime events, because even though you're doing them, it's so scripted, and they force you to do it to continue the story.
it's 100% a quick time event. I didn't even think about that. Except for there's no quick time involved. It's just an event.
Right.
Yeah, there's no timer. It does. I do wish there was like a fail if you don't do something in time. I do wish it would you would fail.
There is one scene where that happened to me, but it's a very specific thing. When you're chasing Ghost, Canyon,
there are some chases and stuff.
I lost sight of her, and it gave me a fail state because she got too far ahead of me. So in that case, I did mess up the quick time event because I didn't stay as close to her as I was supposed to. But for the most part, there's no way to mess that stuff up. It's just waiting for you to complete it.
That was one cool thing is how they kind of I definitely wanted more of that. So they do have the time trials and stuff and the combat challenges. The combat itself, yes, it is pretty much a glorified wave shooter. The stuff you play in the beginning, it definitely had it was very story driven of what was going on, you falling out of the plane. But this is should we talk about the big elephant in the room here?
No, not yet.
There's a few big elephants in the room. What's the big one you're talking about?
We keep saying wave shooter. And I want to talk about why we could even remotely put it in this category and why it's not really in this category.
Well, can I start with one quick thing? There is a mission in this game where they specifically call them waves of enemies.
True.
And I was like, guys, you should not be doing that. Everybody from the first time you showed the trailer, people were like, this looks like a wave shooter.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, it's not.
Well, I think they said rail shooter.
Yeah, but I mean, a lot of people have accused it of being, like you said, a glorified wave shooter.
I just want to say there is no other wave shooter on PlayStation VR that I can think of that gives you this kind of mobility, that gives you this many options in terms of. I mean, I know that there are games that give you a ton of weapons, but there is no other game that gives you a suit where it's but based on your actions, you're swapping out weapons and filling up your unibeam meter. There's a lot going on mechanically here. To call it a wave shooter, it just seems like it's so much bigger than that. Even though what you're doing is just shooting things until the game goes, okay, you're done shooting things.
I don't think that inherently we have to treat wave shooter as a derogatory thing. The reason it's become that way is because there's a glut of these in the market. There's a billion of them, and people are tired of that genre. But if you take a genre that people are tired of and you elevate it in a certain way, like Iron Man has, then it doesn't have to be a bad thing that we say it's kind of like a wave shooter. Because like you said, you've got so much freedom on how to approach any situation.
It's not
your movement and everything. So it doesn't feel like a typical wave shooter, but it has a lot of the same DNA.
Yeah,
it has wave shooter mechanics for sure. We always say that games have RPG mechanics. This has wave shooter mechanics.
I dare not call this game a wave shooter as a whole. If somebody were to ask me, is this game just a wave shooter? I'd be like, fuck off.
It's not just a wave shooter. I want to address something Orsig said real quick because this strikes me as particularly off base, and I'm sorry to call you out for this, but I don't agree with this at all. Orsig says Iron Man VR was designed to attract new VR gamers, so I'm not surprised it doesn't seem impressive to us VR veterans. The most unfortunate thing about this all, I think, is that people will expect it to be impressive as new VR gamers. Yeah. They'll buy the bundle. This will be the first VR game that they play, and they'll be underwhelmed because it's not the best VR game out there. It's not the best.
This is not a killer app, like you said.
Exactly. It's not the killer app. And so I think the opposite of what you're saying is true. I think people who aren't VR veterans will be unimpressed because it's not the best we have to offer. If this is their so you expect, if you've never played VR before, in your mind, you're thinking this is an official Marvel branded product released by Sony with its own bundle. This has got to be a great game. This has to look great. This has to feel great. It's going to be awesome top to bottom. And then you get in and there's rough edges and there's stuff that we haven't done since launch as far as mechanics, like when you're in the story scenes.
If you're new to VR, though, that might be a little bit different.
But I'm saying if you're new to VR and the thing you see as like the best thing we've got, the most exciting thing
when I was new to VR,
2017 in it.
When I was new to VR, I saw the fucking demo screen and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you saw the demo screen and then you sat in a fucking loading screen for 2 minutes and then you sat in another loading screen.
I wanted to say the L word, but nobody's letting me say the L word.
Oh, that's the elephant in the room, loading?
Yeah, that's the biggest problem here, right? It's like I could excuse every single other problem this game has to the point where I'm like, yes, I'm like, oh, that's weird that we have teleportation as Tony Stark. Oh, it's weird that, it does this or that maybe it's not as interactive as it should be. But I'm willing to let all that slide, man, because it's, every game developer makes games differently. And I don't expect every single developer out there to be like, okay, well, Brian Paul wants this game to be like this, so I'm going to make it exactly this way. But the thing that's going to turn everybody off, VR veterans or VR newbies, it doesn't matter who you are. The second you stand there and wait for the first loading screen, and then the second loading screen, and then the third loading screen, and then by the 10th loading screen in the first hour of the game, you're just like, that would turn anybody off.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing I want to say is a kind of a joinder to that. Rejoinder? Is that a word? I don't even know. But to go along with what you just said, it's not just that you spend so long loading. It's that sometimes you spend that much time loading into a scene or an environment that doesn't even have that much going on.
Right.
Like, for instance, the Shanghai level should not take that long to load because the graphics are free-to-play Spider-Man experience level graphics in that stage. And Spider-Man experience doesn't take that long to load. And, like, you know what I mean? It's ridiculous when the level of resolution and quality on these graphics is not up to par where it should be in a lot of places, but you still have to wait for so long for it to load. It just seems silly. Like, Megaton Rainfall doesn't make you wait for it to load like that. And the cities are actually not even arguably, more detailed in Megaton Rainfall. There's more going on in a city in Megaton Rainfall than this Shanghai stage. And for me,
made by one guy.
That was made by one guy. So I expect, and I said this in my review, I'll say it again, I expected a little more out of Camouflage with this budget. Because if one guy can make a better city stage than you in Megaton Rainfall, like, you did something wrong, man. Like, something went wrong. Shanghai is, for me, a sticking point because you have to come back to it again. You go through it the first time and you're like, this is very underwhelming. I don't really like this. It's like the second stage, right? Second or third stage.
I think the second.
It's one of the first things you see that isn't the demo that you've already played, and it looks like shit. Honestly, it looks like shit.
It's weird. With Shanghai is weird because you look at it at first glance, right? I feel like the first time you look at Shanghai, you're like, yeah, like this doesn't look that great. But then you actually kind of get up close to some of the buildings and stuff. And some of them look a little bit better than others, especially the ones with like the big TV screens. What I thought were things that were like a missed opportunity was, we talked about this being kind of going back to that wave shooter argument, how it keeps you kind of in a circle in the sky and you have to stay within that circle. Generally stuff stays within that thing. If you leave that area, it says return to that area. Yeah. And so it kind of keeps you there rather than letting you go somewhere else and stuff follows you or stuff pops up somewhere else. But what's very odd I found about that Shanghai level is like the water there is like beautiful. And there's this bridge, which even in the end of my review, I show a clip of me like jetting through the bridge. And I was like, man, this looks so good. And I really think that there was like kind of some missed opportunities like this. Like you had the stuff in place to give a nice presentation in certain parts. And instead it's kind of just has you like face to face with somebody talking or something. But yeah, I was like, why wasn't there a fight down by the water? Why wasn't there a fight over on this bridge? There could have been some really cool, really memorable stuff. And instead it kind of just ended up still sticking in that same area, unfortunately.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out to Donatello, the scientist GameCat. Said famous man once said, "We create our own demons." $2 donation.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That's funny. That's okay. Funny thing about Donatello's thing. That's the first line of my review. Besides, review copy provided by Sony. That's the first line of my review for that reason.
Yeah, it is. It is crazy. I think a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, this is proof that the PlayStation 4 can't cut it when it comes to VR."
That's what I'm afraid of. What I'm afraid of.
Well, no, and I'm not afraid of that because we've played every single PlayStation VR game there is, and we're out there, telling people that this is not normal. When Resident Evil 7 is like practically identical to the flat screen version, but better because immersive, and it's the loading screens are so few and far between, no matter how long they are. You get to play for so long, and you get these beautiful fucking worlds and tons of like these awesome intricate gameplay mechanics. And then this is like every 5 minutes, within the same level, you're stuck with like 90 seconds waiting for a load screen, and then 90 seconds waiting to get out of that building for a load screen.
Right.
The other thing about the load screens that we haven't talked about is that there's not just like one load screen that you
There's
get used
basically
to.
3 phases of it.
There's a few different load screens, and they interject them here and there, and you never know when you're going to get a load screen. It might just fade to
Almost
black
like
and stay
every-
black for a long time, and then eventually a little loading bar will pop
It's-
up that's not the loading screen. There's also, as soon as it finishes loading, every time, you're standing alone in the darkness, and Tony is speaking to himself.
Not
which
every
seems-
time.
Almost.
Not
Almost
every time. So
Almost every
look, so check this
Oh,
out,
but no,
Dave.
let me finish the thought.
Okay.
Almost every time. That seems like a loading screen, goddammit. If I'm standing in the dark
Yeah.
and nothing's going on except a guy speaking dialogue, make that the loading screen. Makes
Yeah.
it's just so poorly. It's just
Chopped
so
up.
poorly.
It's very chopped up,
It
and
fucks with the pacing of the game.
it
You don't
does.
get to stay excited for any period of time because it cuts you off every fucking few minutes.
I totally agree. That's a big flaw. There's so many exciting things happening. So many you fly the sequence of flying, like you're in a plane, and then it like. So let me about the loading screens real quick. Let me finish that thought on that first. It's a black screen that fades out, and it's a few seconds, right? Then it's this loading screen that has like all this stuff around you, and that goes on for maybe like 40 to 90 seconds, I think Brian timed it out to. And then it's another couple seconds of black. And then sometimes there's even a loading bar after that. Now, when you said that Tony's talking, that only really happens in the beginning of the game.
No, it
And I
dude, that happens throughout the entire game. There's a
Oh, was
ton
it?
of
Yeah.
Oh, dude, there's a ton of
Oh,
scenes
okay.
after you get out of loading screen
Where
where you're
he's
back into a
More
black
often
screen
than
with
not.
well, to me, that's not. Well, yeah, it sucks that it's
to me,
separated.
It seems silly because it seems like it ought to be the loading screen. or
Right,
part
right.
Of it.
It would be.
Instead of
That's what I was going to
loading.
say. Is that would be a great way to mask the loading screen? Is if they're, providing more like exposition and stuff.
Yeah, we want to make it very, very clear that, like, we said this before. AJ's apparently the defender of loading screens, like that.
Yeah,
we get it, man. We get like that things have to do what they have to do. Like Saints and Sinners, I remember like I don't even know if I mentioned it in the review. I just put it in the negative column that there's some excessive loading screens. It's like one before the mission and one after the mission, but you get to play the whole mission, no matter how long it takes you, no matter what you're doing, going in and out of buildings, with no loading screens. And so when you finally see another one, you're like, okay, whew, I did my thing, and here we go. But these loading screens are longer than those, and
these are abnormal.
About 3 times more frequent.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, it's abnormal when all three of us spontaneously called that out as an issue. IGN called that as an issue. Fucking every review I've ever heard of called that out as an issue.
They're not like normal. People were saying like some loading screens like from Saints and Sinners was long, and I was like, no, this is the way they're spaced out in these, the way the frequency of them, like how frequent they are, and then the length of them. It's just constant. Can you hit me, Dave, real quick?
Yeah, sure.
I gotta get this out of the way real quick. K Panic, the game cat and mouse with the $4.99 donation says, "Oh no, just came in from work. Haven't seen review, and now hearing AJ's disappointment. Am I not getting this?" So let me just be clear, guys.
Yeah.
I liked this game. I think this is a good game. Yeah. I think that if you are looking forward to this game, or if you pre-ordered it, I think you should be looking forward to playing it. And I actually think that you should, if you're planning on pre-ordering it, I actually would even say get the digital deluxe version over the regular pre-order version.
Just for the skins or what?
Yeah, for the skins, you get the pre-order skins. You basically get a total of 16 decos, because one of my favorite parts of this game was actually the decos. Like, you would think, oh, you're playing in first person, why would you care about these different skins or whatever? And to me, that was actually one of my favorite things going after. There's different challenges you can do, like use your auxiliary blast or whatever to kill 6 guys in a row, and you unlock this certain suit. Looking at those in the garage, and then like looking at your hands and stuff when you're playing. Also, you can do this funny thing where you twist your move controller all around, and you're like, and it goes all the way around. And then you also can see the face when you go there. But now, if you are on the fence on this game, like you played the demo and you didn't like the demo, then I would say do not buy it.
Wait for a sale, at least.
Yeah,
Definitely wait for a sale.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Is if you're excited about this game, if you're looking forward to playing it, if it looks good to you, you will likely enjoy it. I enjoyed it overall, but
Yeah, and I think the thing is, when K-Panic said that, my response to him was, hey, watch our reviews. We all have a little bit of a different perspective, but I think we all came down on the same side, which is, I like this game.
yes,
It's just not your killer
It's a-
app. It's not going
right.
to be what people were expecting it to be. And I worry, again, that if it's people's big first VR experience and they're expecting it to be the best thing we've got, it's not. It's
No.
definitely not.
it's
Um,
where it
just know
failed.
that going into it. Just if you feel comfortable, if you love Iron Man, you'll like this game. You'll like this game.
Yeah, it was missing some of those AAA things that, like, when we played Blood and Truth, we were like, oh, it's going to be a James Bond movie. And, like, the entire time playing Blood and Truth, I was like, wow, that was mind-blowing. I can't believe that just happened. This is a very solid game, but it's not, like, moment to moment, like, oh, my God, wow. It just didn't, like, amaze me, but it's very, very good.
I think a
would
huge
say.
part of that is Delirium Drew, you guys know, part of the community. He texts me sometimes and he was like, hey man, what can you tell me about this Iron Man without breaking embargo? And I was like, well, not much. And he said, oh, well, let me tell you what I think and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. And what he said was
Still
essentially
breaking
like
embargo.
that glorified. Oh no, I didn't tell him one way or the other. But
Good.
his guess was that it's like the wave shooter thing that you saw in the demo, that gameplay with in between segments like Blood and Truth. And I said, you might want to lower expectations a little bit because the cutscenes, the cinematic stuff is nowhere near the level of quality of Blood and Truth.
Right.
This is not in the ballpark. So if you're expecting that in the cinematics, just know that that's not what it is. It's very
Right.
clunky in a lot of ways in the way that it delivers some of those. I mean, the voice acting is good. The characters are
Voice
good.
acting is fantastic.
It's fine. The dialogue's mostly pretty decent, and I like
Yeah.
the characters. Like I said, I like. There's some that are kind of one-sided, like Friday and Gunsmith. You'll see by the end, it's clear like they just have a purpose in the story as more than their characters exactly. But Ghost is a really good character, and I liked that villain a lot. And the progression.
The characters were definitely a big surprise for me that I was not expecting. We have tons of positive things to say about this game as well.
Yeah, no,
it's just we had to get the loading screens out of the way because they are, like Brian said, they are that bad. They really hinder this game to its full potential, and it's just disappointing in that regard.
Get the fuck out of here! Fuck you!
Wow, that
Joe
was
Grover,
crystal
the
clear.
FM Cat, says $2, and he says, so a 6-hour game not including load screens. As I said to him in the chat, AJ beat it in 6.5 hours, including load screens, as far as I heard.
Actually,
So
right, it was right under 6 hours, just
under
barely.
6 hours. You're better than I am.
But I did just the campaign, and because we didn't have a lot of time to review it. I usually play games on hard. I played this on normal, and I literally, like, any extra stuff, I did like the minimal amount of exploration that I could do just to make sure I didn't miss anything. But other than that, like, I didn't sit there on the pull-up bar and do pull-ups. I didn't like do a bunch of like I did them like once real quick, and then I jet right back to the story, and I skipped like all the challenges until I beat the game, and then came back and then did the challenges, and I added more and more hours doing the challenges after I beat the game. So if you just do a straight shot to the very end of the story, it's 6 hours.
And real quick, there is no reason to do pull-ups. There's no reason to shoot
There's
hoops.
a trophy.
Okay, there's a trophy. All right, fine.
Yep.
But
Dude,
there's, you don't
I
get
would do
anything.
anything for a trophy. Okay, don't be like, there's no
I
reason for that. I would do anything.
Anything for a trophy.
Anyways, I'm not a trophy hunter,
I
so
wouldn't
for
do
me,
that.
there is no in-game benefit.
How dare you, Dave? It is the birthday of trophies on PlayStation today.
I don't give a fuck. I
How
don't care
dare
about
you?
trophies. I don't care
It is
about
also
trophies.
That comes from Bit Jello Boy 30, the jiggly game cat, with the $5 donation saying, "Lunch break is over. Take it easy, cats, and stay jiggly." I can't do the motion, but I like it.
It is the birthday of PSN trophies. Also, got to give a quick shout out to my man Polish Paul VR, your PSVR dude. He just had his daughter. His daughter was born today.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
a big
Oh,
shout out to
congrats.
Polish Paul. I meant to give him a shout out earlier. Congratulations, my dude. And it's also Blessing Adeoye Jr. over at Kind of Funny Games birthday. So
Nice.
cool. The trifecta is complete.
Nice.
But back to the game.
Yeah, as far as like the story length is
Oh,
concerned,
real quick, guys, if we're talking birthdays, I heard in the Discord, it's Joe Mello.
Oh, that's right. It's also
Joe's
Joe Mello, the
birthday.
Death Metal Gamecat's birthday. There's
Happy
4 of
birthday,
them.
my
They're multiplying.
It's now a perfect quadrangle instead of trifecta.
Not a perfect
Quadfecta. I guess that's a thing. Yeah, no, it took. So I guess I took my time a little bit more. I certainly spent some time shooting hoops and doing pull-ups and lifting weights and making juice and doing all sorts of just exploring and taking my time. And
you can't even drink the juice, man. That pissed me off.
I drink the juice.
How do you open the top? I couldn't get.
No, you just drink it right out of the sippy cup. It's a sippy cup. Nah, man. Maybe you should suck harder.
I'm so bad at drinking juice in this game, guys. I'm terrible.
1 out of 10. And so I definitely took my time. I feel like I did all the things that a normal gamer would do going through it and saying, oh, well, I've got a second to kind of explore and go see what I can find. And I explored and went to see what I could find. And then I, when they were like, oh, do you want to do a side mission? I was like, I guess I'll do a challenge, a time trial challenge. And so, and it took me
optional. I thought they made you do a couple.
Twice they make you do it. But I still, decided I was going to go do one on my own and that kind of stuff. I did one free flight mission just for the heck of it to be like, oh, is there anything to do in free flight? There's not. I was like, it really makes the environments way more boring than they should be when there's not enemies to smash. But it took me 7 hours and 45 minutes from start to finish. And I will say probably 45 minutes of that going back to the tip we got. 45 minutes of that was probably loading screens.
Oh, at least.
Yeah,
at least.
There's a good 15-20%.
I probably came in a little bit longer than that because I am not as good at games as you guys are, I think. And I failed a couple times. Like I said, that chase mission, I failed twice, and I think I died once towards the end. And sometimes, if you die in the wrong spot, loading back into the checkpoint is a real fucking pain in the ass. You don't want to die in this game because, as we already said, loading screens really suck. If you can avoid dying, please try to. Because
I actually didn't die once the entire playthrough.
Guys, shout out to Matty Matt 2323 in the chat. It's his birthday as well, and it looks like it's also is it Secrets of birthday too? Who else is it? Yeah,
he said
happy late birthday.
Wow.
Happy belated.
Tom Bell asked, do you think a patch could be coming to fix the loading screens? I don't know. I mean, I think it could be optimized. I think they're going to make enough money off this game, luckily, that where they could maybe get the funding to be able to do it. And at the very, very least, when this game will likely get PS5 support, and that should be something that's addressed. That should be something we won't have to worry about moving forward.
If they're going to optimize certain PlayStation 4 games for PlayStation 5, that's the thing is they're talking about backward compatibility on PlayStation 5, but that doesn't mean automatically load times disappear. You still have to optimize it to take advantage of the hardware. Right. And so hopefully all games that come out on PS4 VR moving forward will be optimized for PlayStation 5 in the backward compatibility, or if not, just fucking re-release it on PlayStation 5 and make sure that everything's silky smooth and moves at a fucking pretty fast clip.
Yeah, I just want to be clear, though. A lot of people are asking, do you think they'll patch it like this gen on PS4? No.
I don't know. Well, we don't know. You don't know.
I think so.
AJ, you guys think that they can do something in a patch that fixes these loading screens? I don't think so. Dude, if they could have done something.
I feel like I've seen something before.
Absolutely would have, because everyone in the world is saying they suck. But this game seems to me, and I hate to say this, I get the feeling this is a set it and forget it. I understand where you're coming from. I think this is a set it and forget it game. I think they're going to drop it and move on, and we're not going to get constant updates. We're not going to get a bunch of patches to fix things. It's not No Man's Sky. I think they're going to drop it and leave. I hate to say it.
I think it's very possible. Mm-hmm. I understand.
They're not going to fix the loading screens on this gen.
I wouldn't say 100%, because what if they ran out of time, and what if they just didn't?
I think they ran out of time.
Have you ever heard of a patch for any game?
Yes.
That
I feel like I have.
No, hold on. The loading screens are so constant and so long in this game that they'd have to be reduced by at least 50%. At least 50% to make this okay.
Wait. You're saying patch that's going to.
I don't think anybody can fix that. Nobody's going to patch.
But Dave, you're asking for a patch that makes the game perfect or way better. I would take a
load times. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, if they improve them a little bit and they're still a pain in the ass, Who cares? It's not much better. It's a little better. Okay, fine.
Well, I care. I care because I would
yeah.
like them to do anything they can to improve the experience, even if it's not 50%, even if they don't cut the load speeds in half, or cut the load times in half. That'd be awful if they cut the load speed in half. It'd be like, oh my god, it's like 3 minutes of load time every time. But no, I think there's optimizations they can do. This game isn't doing anything we haven't seen on PlayStation VR before. I mean,
that's why it shouldn't have had these loading screens at launch, man. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they know how
to.
to.
You need to chill out, man.
Yeah, if this was some independent game that didn't have the Iron Man license, and they could publish it whenever they wanted to, and they weren't under like Marvel's and Sony's strict rules, I'm assuming, and like the launching a bundle. Like, these are things that set release dates in place that you can't fucking get around, and you have to ship a game sometimes before it's ready. And I think that's what they did. This game is not optimized.
Let's talk about this in 6 months and see how optimized it is. That's all I'm saying.
I'm
I don't
totally
think
down.
Is be
I think
better.
so.
I would love to be wrong, but I'm fairly sure I'm not going to be wrong about
this.
This.
I know. What I'm saying is we don't know right now, so to act like either it is or isn't getting right now
all the time on this goddamn channel, AJ. That's
I know, but you're saying it like it's a fact right now. You're not speculating. You're saying that it's a fact.
I'm saying it's my belief.
I hate when mom and dad argue.
I want to get back to things about the game that are actually like, a little bit more relevant, like what's currently in the game. We can speculate on deeper stuff later.
Is actually the most relevant thing, but let's continue.
You want to talk about loading screens longer? Because
no,
I mean, we can.
That's not a relevant conversation.
To put a bookend on the loading screen conversation, I will say that I think this game actually does pretty much everything else pretty great. And the fact that the loading screens are what caused me to maybe like really dislike other parts of it more, because it like builds up this momentum. You're doing something cool, and then boom, kills the pacing. And so whatever happens next doesn't feel right. Okay, so I really think that I think if they fixed the load screens, or at least improve them greatly, I think that a lot of my other concerns are not nearly as important. And I think this is a game that everyone's really going to enjoy. It just sucks because they kill the pacing so much with the loading screens. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say about it. It's it's a big deal.
Somebody I think it was Zach Lightning that was asking something specific. But can we talk about the different like upgrade mechanics that you get real quick? So you do get like a 5-star rating. You get rated on this. There actually are leaderboards. I'm not really interested in the leaderboards, but still cool that it's there. But yeah, essentially you do get these research points. You can unlock them, and you get different weapons and different parts of the suit that you can customize. And on my first playthrough, I wasn't too crazy about this, but I did end up settling on a loadout that I actually enjoyed. I found something that I did prefer in the end, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, the upgrade mechanics are. I think it's fun to craft new upgrades for the suit, and and especially because it's a reward for having done well on different missions. I think it's also fascinating though that that the digital deluxe version gives you 14 extra research points, but 12. And so, but at no point was I ever like, man, I could really use some extra research points right now. And never, not once. I was like, I've always got more than I need to do whatever I want to do. And none
at the very beginning, I was like, but I was like, I haven't even played this yet. So it's like, yeah, of course I don't mind like going and earning some research points.
Yeah, you make more than enough like on every single mission to like at least upgrade like almost one thing every single time you come back to the garage. I don't need to change like 5 things every time I do it. So it was interesting that was a digital deluxe bonus. I was like, because just by playing through the game you unlock almost everything.
Again, I recommend the digital deluxe. Forget the research points for the decos. I really like the decos. And they have these different ones. They are just kind of like reskins versus like actually different like, shaped suits and stuff. But they look so good, and there's so many games that have had like a skin or something, and it's like man, you pay extra for this, like for this crap, and these actually look really good, which is why I recommended that. But I think you said this in your review. If there was one thing that could be in that I would have liked more than just having the option to interchangeable, like, do you want this kind of missile or do you want this kind of machine gun, would have been some kind of progression system, a deeper progression system, like leveling up strength or leveling up power with each of these weapons.
This is the one I want to talk about too, because we just got a question that's almost the same thing. Boy Brown in the chat says, "Do the upgrades affect the gameplay in any way? I.e., are they needed?" And so the thing is that they really—it's just a preference thing. You don't get stronger by. They're not exactly
a little bit. You do.
But hold on. Here's the thing: the only way you get stronger with a certain weapon is by putting a component on another part of your body that isn't even that weapon slot. Right. So it's a trade-off. It's not really an improvement. You can say, in my chest, I want to have a thing that heals me faster, or I'd rather have a thing that makes my repulsors more powerful. And so it's constantly a trade-off of a balancing act, but it's never a direct improvement overall.
It is a little bit because
you're just getting more to play with.
Because you do have you do have these smaller missiles. I'm trying to tell you because I've gone like through each one. I've unlocked all the different weapons, and you're right. It is a trade-off. But there are some where it's like, first of all, there are a couple that are like kind of useless, and it's like kind of a miss there. But there are some as well where it's like, you have these missiles that you lock on to a bunch of targets at once, and then you can fire them, and then it like hits a bunch of targets at once. Or you can just have one big ass smart bomb, and you just shoot it out, and it just blows up. Like it does like a lot more damage to a smaller space. So there's slight differences in that is all I was trying to say, like little differences like that. There's in terms of the thrusters, like speed, there's one thruster upgrade that makes you go like super fast. And then there's one that makes you accelerate faster. So like your top speed isn't faster, but you get to your top speed faster. And then I forget what the other one is just your boost. Whenever you boost, it goes faster. It's a bigger boost, and it recharges faster. So that's kind of more just on that deep dive of the customization.
Real quick, Justin is saying, I'm not discrediting how amazing the game is. I'm just saying if you want no loading screens, you make sacrifices. This game already made sacrifices, and it's still got loading screens all over the place.
Yeah, these aren't the most beautiful environments we've ever seen. Yeah,
like it shouldn't take this long to load these levels.
These aren't open worlds. Fucking way. Yeah.
There's a lot of empty space. Shanghai, that's what I was saying earlier, is there's so much extra room in that level, but you're kind of confined to the smaller area, I should say.
Yeah, it's got one of those flat things. It's like you're leaving the play area, kind of like Star Fox or like something like that.
It definitely looks better than the demo, though. The demo was a little bit of, I don't know if it was like if it needed aliasing or anti-aliasing. Sorry. But the demo, they definitely polished it up a little bit. There is a pro patch. But yeah, there are still, even though there are things that look better than the demo, there's still some areas that they kind of like but they just probably ran out of time and didn't get the polish all the way. And yeah, that's kind of what we mean by like, takes away from the presentation at times. But let's see here.
Yeah. Man, I don't even know where we're at anymore. Didn't we move on to positive things? And I feel like we just kind of derailed right back to.
I think we've already said, this game feels like your Iron Man. It feels great. Controlling the suit is, once you get the hang of it, pretty exciting. And even when you don't have the hang of it, it's got that kind of arc of like any superhero who gets a new suit. Spider-Man doesn't know how to use his new suit at first. Iron Man doesn't know how to use his new suit at first. So you feel like when you're bumping into stuff, it's part of your hero's journey. You just got this thing, you're figuring out how to use it. And by the end, you feel confident and you can take on people. So there's kind of natural progression there that I think is really good.
I actually love that after you beat the game, there is a wave shooter. This is more like an actual wave shooter thing where there's 40 waves that they throw at you out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And you can only play it on invincible difficulty. And I actually really, really was enjoying this. I got about halfway through. I got to like maybe 18 waves, 16 waves, 18 waves. And it just starts getting ridiculous. And I wasn't spec'd for it properly. This is where like actually having the right loadout and the right thing will come into play. So I'm actually really excited to play through this game again on the Invincible difficulty, because I feel like that's going to kind of force your hand on finding the right combination of different attacks and building that strategy. But yeah, and oh, as for another positive thing, like the chase scenes, you did kind of mention a little bit, but that was the kind of stuff that I thought was really exciting. It was a nice break from just fighting wave after wave, and it was exciting when you did start go on those chases and you're flying through these tight spots, and if you do get knocked back, that you can get out of range and lose. And I would have loved to see more stuff like that. I really enjoyed what was there. But they do kind of have that in the form of these challenges. There are a good bit of challenges for like each stage, which I thought was pretty cool. But whenever it kind of mixed the whole thing up a little bit is like when I really thought this game shined, when it was like really the beginning of the game and then like the end of the game I thought were like really strong. And that's kind of why I ended the game on a little bit more of a positive note, was because I thought it ended really strong. And I don't want to say anything about the ending because I thought it was really well done and really cool.
Yeah, I think without spoiling anything, we can say very confidently that the beginning and the ending are where most of the big set pieces are, the big kind of exciting. There's a few sprinkled out throughout the game, but the majority of the midsection of the game is those kind of, a little bit smells like a wave shooter series of drones,
right?
And you have to repeat stages multiple times. So Shanghai you go to twice. Nick Fury's plane you go to twice. Most levels you go to twice. And it just feels like at a certain point they are kind of padding it out with some good storyline around it, but it's sort of like I played this with different enemies like an hour ago.
There's no surprise of a new level or anything.
Yeah, and then towards the end they do start throwing in some new levels and some new stuff like the chase mechanics and some boss fight kind of stuff that is pretty cool.
I love the fight. I actually really like the fight against Ghost. Not going to go into specifics, but Ghost has some really cool abilities where she, she throws stuff at you. You have to dodge. She does like this thing where she splits into like multiple versions of herself, and you have to kind of find the right one and chase down the right one. And just overall, all of her abilities were pretty damn sweet, I thought.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing super unprecedented in a game to have somebody who multiplies and you got to figure out which one's the right one, but it's done really well. Like it's fun.
It looks cool compared to, I didn't mind the drones, honestly. Like, that was kind of one of my worries.
Revenant drones, man.
Oh God, those are such a pain in the ass. But to me, like 6 different kinds of drones, even though it's just drones, 6 different kind that have kind of different things that they do, is kind of like okay by me. It's enough. Some of the games I've given crap for in the past, they had literally like 2 different kinds of drones or whatever through the entire game. This had 6 different types of drones. Also, the set piece things that you had to do, even if they were a little bit scripted and stuff. But then it also had some bosses, special boss fights and stuff like that, the chase scenes. So I felt like even though there is a kind of monotony to the beating down waves of robots, there was like a nice overall blend of like different things. I would have liked to see it like, just have a little bit more fun versus just like pure fighting the entire time.
Yeah, and I don't know if anybody else felt this way. We haven't really talked about this, but did you feel like some of those segments where you were kind of in the more wave shootery parts were like a little too long, like extended a little too much?
There's a couple.
It's like, oh, I have to do another thing now?
Yeah.
I have to do another thing now? And it's like a 30-minute wave shooter mission. And it's like stuff keeps happening plot-wise, which I love that you said, in the game, the bad guy says something to you.
They justify it.
He activates a thing, but it's really just like, oh, that means he's going to send 12 more drones in. And it's like, maybe there's a tank this time, or maybe there's a revenant, but it's really just the kind of the same thing blended in a different way, reconfigured.
I say that, but then I'm so excited to get back into that 40 waves of doom.
Well,
you know what I mean?
The thing we've said up and down is don't get it twisted, guys. It's fun to be Iron Man. It feels good to be Iron Man. Like the actual gameplay mechanics are not bad at all, but just everything around it And it's one of those games where you want to be able to enjoy it more, but the game gets in the way of you enjoying it more often than it should. So we got we had at least one tip here, I think, from K Panic.
Fuck you, this is my tree world.
The Game Cat and Mouse, $2. He says, so opposite Netflix, don't skip a recap, skip game. Not sure how to interpret that question. Maybe you guys have an answer for that.
Don't skip the game. That's the thing. It's like sometimes a game can have some serious flaws and serious faults, and still be actually really good when it's really good. And it's so tough to be able to talk about this game like intelligently, and tell you everything that's wrong with it as like reviewers. Right. Because I was talking to Dave, I was talking to AJ, and I think the common thread was, man, it sounds like I'm shitting on this game every single time I open my mouth, but then I actually really liked it. So like, how do you say, man, it does all of this really well, but holy crap, a lot of this is going to turn people off, and then go, but you should still play it. That's so difficult.
I think the simplest way to say it is that we're obligated. We're obligated because it is Marvel's Iron Man VR, a big release with a new bundle and all this stuff. I think we're obligated to say, hey guys, it's not a killer app. It's a good game. I like it. If it was some game off the street that wasn't called Marvel's Iron Man VR,
it would be amazing.
This is pretty good, but I'd still give it the same score. It would still have the same issues, but I'd say, hey guys, you might not have heard of this game, but it's pretty cool. You should check it out. The gunfighting, the combat is pretty cool. It's got a good story, whatever. But because it's Marvel's Iron Man VR, we have to be very clear that it's not all sunshine and daisies here. There is a little bit of a rough side to it, or not even a little bit, like a decent amount of a rough edge to this thing that people ought to be aware of before that they go in thinking it's this big prestige game that's going to blow everything out of the water. It's not even to the degree that Blood and Truth was. Blood and Truth is a more impressive game, I think, overall. But
it's that wow factor, Yeah, it's the wow factor. I think this game has deeper gameplay, and
for sure, absolutely.
And like that's the thing, right? This game actually has deeper gameplay mechanics, stuff, more replayability than Blood and Truth. But Blood and Truth just has that, and Blood and Truth was like 4 or 5 hours long. And when it came out, you were done with it, but it was just so full of like, oh my god, wow, that it was the experience. And I think this is a better game than Blood and Truth, but I think Blood and Truth was a better experience than Iron Man because it didn't have these little things that we had to hurdle over. If you have the game, you're gonna like it. It's a good game. And after listening to us, you might even like it even more after you play it.
Possibly. Expect the worst.
We're helping you to if you were excited for it. We're just telling you, it's just don't expect like a 10 out of 10. But not every game has to be a 10 out of 10 to be good. I hate how everything's a 10 or a 0 these days. There are games that are in between. This is certainly a very much above average game. GamerChick13 asked, what were you expecting from the game based on the demo that it ended up not delivering? I think there was just more. There was more. Sorry if I missed a tip. Oh, we'll get that in a second. Yeah. There was more broken apart segments than I thought. When I played the demo, it was broken up, but it was just that one small section that I played. And so I was like, I'm not crazy about that, but whatever. I went and played the challenges, had fun. This was trying to enjoy a story with lots of breaks and interruptions in between. That was definitely the biggest thing.
Kills the pace, like we were saying before.
Yeah.
But, Joe actually said we missed one of his tips from earlier, so I'm going to give Joe a shout out here real quick.
Joe.
If a true guy.
Don't tweet me.
There we go. He's got $5 on it. Oh my God, shut up, True. Jesus Christ. He won't shut up. $5 from Joe Grover. He says, Dave wants the loading screen conversation to be as long as the loading screen. Just for $5.
This is
I missed that too. I'm sorry.
Take a swig for you, Joe. Thanks for that tip. I'm sorry I let you languish for so long. Called you out.
The I think the demo is so indicative of what you're going to get in the final game. So for me, I know enough about when developers talk about their games and how demos come together to know that you got to kind of stitch these things together, especially when it's not like, oh, the demo is just the first however many minutes of the game. You got to kind of like put things together that don't belong together, and it's certainly not going to be like the most optimized experience all the time, right? And sometimes they're being developed in tandem demos are being developed in tandem with the actual game, and so like it's not a very seamless experience. So when I saw the long load times in the demo, I was like, this is probably just a demo thing, right? There's no way there's going to be, and plus they didn't show us any levels in the demo that actually had multiple loading screens during the mission itself.
Sort of, they did actually. It was a shorter loading screen though. It wasn't like the actual game. It was just one of the smaller loading bars. Yeah. Or maybe it was just a black screen for a long period of time. But
yeah, it was nothing even remotely close to what we got.
Yeah, when you get sucked out of the plane, it flashes to white real quick, but then it almost immediately shows you falling out of the plane. And then when you actually put on the gloves and the helmet, then it cuts to a loading screen, and then it starts out of the blue or whatever it's called, and then you start doing that mission. But there was like a loading screen right there.
Yeah. And one thing that we haven't talked about yet, I don't think that I brought up in my review, is that outside of the loading screens, there are all these awkward moments where the game makes you fade to black for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And during certain scenes where someone's talking to you like a cinematic, I noticed that if I turned my head to the left, it would go black. If I turned my head up, it would go black. If I tried to lean into the scene, it would go black. And so during certain cinematics, it actually wants you to keep your head exactly where it is, because if you go like this, it fades you out. And that was really surprising to me. I didn't foresee that at all.
Was that when you were like leaning into an object or something?
Nope, not at all.
No collision?
It was during, I want to say, chapter 11, which you guys will be familiar with, but the chat doesn't know about.
Yeah, we won't
and
talk about
Friday, Friday is doing something to something, and you're just on a platform, and she's over there kneeling. You guys know the scene I'm talking about.
Yeah.
She's helping you out. So when I would go like this to lean closer to her, fade to black. Lean back a little bit, fade to black. Left, fade to black. Right, fade to black. It wasn't that way the whole time, but it was kind of weird. It was like, how did they develop this, that's the way it works? And there are moments, too, where, like, for instance, you shake Nick Fury's hand. And when you do that, there's not an animation of you guys shaking hands. He doesn't have physics. You don't shake his hand. It fades to black, and then it fades you back in to having already shaken his hand. It's very jarring. It doesn't feel like you're an embodied person. It feels like launch title type shit. Feels like launch title type shit.
Again, though, that is one that is like kind of that would be forgivable. Like that's something we talked about with Resident Evil 7. You've gone hard on Resident Evil 7 for doing the same thing, and I actually agree. But it is like something when in terms of like it being a big issue, it is a little bit more frequent in this. Maybe
it is
very.
And that's probably the problem. But yeah, I wish games would just kind of just let loose, man. Just let it go. Let me fly out, like let me get sucked out of the plane and it be exciting and terrifying. That's part of one of the advantages that VR can do is let you experience these kind of crazy moments like this. Yeah. And, you know, Blood and Truth, back referencing that again, you're running out of a building and the building is like crumbling and getting smashed and exploding and you're jumping out of a window and you know what I mean? It wasn't like you got to the window and then it faded out and then you're on the pole in the alleyway holding on. It's like these are the kind of things that we want in VR, these crazy kind of moments and experiences. These are things we'll never forget.
Yeah, and Hard to Get has a really good point, though. He says RE7 fade to black on almost every action, but it was a VR port.
Yeah.
This is not a VR port. This is
built from the ground up. Exactly.
VR, and it should not have those shortcomings. Yeah. It really should not. For this budget, this high, you know, what's the word? It's like a very high status game. People are going
high profile.
High profile, that's what I'm looking for. And it's really going to color people's first experience of VR. I guarantee you there are people who bought PSVR for Iron Man, for that bundle. And this is going to be the first thing they ever play on a PlayStation VR.
I think the only thing that's in danger...
That worries me.
Yeah, honestly. I think the only thing that could be in danger... I still think that it could... I still think a lot of people could find it enjoyable, except the one thing that if there's two things would be some of the graphics in some places and then the loading screens. Those are the only two things. Yeah. Everything else in the game, does not bother me. It does not bother me. You know, the free roam though, I would like to see, like, you know, this city was dead. Like this whole city was completely empty.
Yeah,
I would have liked to see. Free roam. The one cool thing I found in free roam was going over the water and then like flying through the bridge. There was a couple cool things to fly around, but Let's see. But yeah, you guys have any more questions on Iron Man VR? We again, if you already bought the game, do not worry. It is fun. You
Yeah.
will like it.
No,
Yeah, just
and-
know what you're getting. Like this is that prestige game that we all had very high expectations for, and it's not that. Picture it as like,
and it still has moments.
There's a core here that is very strong. Like the mechanics of the gameplay itself feel very nice. There's some shortcomings there too. Like you don't really feel like you're flying per se in terms of like the height and the altitude. Somebody said this, like when you're falling through space, you don't really get that gut feeling of I'm falling through space. But otherwise, the mechanics are really fun. The dogfighting is cool, and the story has a lot to say positive about it. There, you can nitpick here and there, but I think overall it's strong. Everything else around it is not up to par, and that's the thing that I think we didn't expect. Nobody was thinking, "Oh, this game's going to be fucked because of loading screens, weird fades to black, poor cinematic scenes that aren't really constructed the right way." Like, I wasn't expecting any of this stuff to be the issue with the game.
Right.
But here's, it's where we are. So
yeah, I think
the core is worth playing. It's a good game.
It's a good core game for sure.
Yeah, and I really do hope that if this is somebody's first VR game, I don't think this is the worst first VR game to play. I do think that there are a lot of things that get in the way, but man, I mean, I've been playing PlayStation VR games for almost 4 years. We're coming up on the 4-year anniversary. And dude, the very first time that mask came down in front of me, and I peered through the lenses in the HUD, right, and then the whole world became apparent, and I saw my arms, which are very sharp, right? Like, say what you will about the environments, I think some of them look good, some of them look okay.
I think a lot of the environments look good in spots.
I think Malibu looks fantastic, and so when the people were like, when people are like, "Oh, Malibu, the environments don't look good,and I played the demo, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
One thing that people mention about Malibu is the houses behind Tony Stark's houses.
Yeah.
House look exactly the same as the Shanghai level. It's just like low res, low poly, copy pasted city thing.
Yeah, but that's all like secondary, right? Because it's all like because you're blasting through this awesome level geometry, right? Where it's like these rock structures coming up out of the ground, and you're flying through them with caves, and it's just an awesome sense of speed. But that's what I'm saying, is that if this is somebody's first PlayStation VR game, and and that's the first thing they see is like, these awesome big Iron Man mitts, and then they hit the triggers and they see, fucking thrusters coming out of them, and then they actually put their arms down and hit the trigger for the first time and go, whew. It's like, that is such an incredible feeling. That was an incredible feeling for me after 4 years of playing PlayStation VR games, that like, this isn't a bad first game to play. Like, that's gonna blow people out of the fucking water. They're gonna be like, oh man, this game sucks, like, because it has this and this. But I really think that experience is worth the $40. And that's not just for new VR gamers. That's for people who've been playing VR games this whole time. I really enjoyed this game, and I think it's really hard to say I really enjoyed this game after going, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. But you can enjoy a game despite all of its flaws. I don't give an 8.4 to games that like are bad.
Silent Evil 999 says, sounds like a must-buy for hardcore Iron Man fanatic nuts out there. That is like, if you are like a hardcore Iron Man person, absolutely, you should have had this pre-ordered already.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't always a big Iron Man or comic book guy, but after watching the movies, like following the build-up with the Avengers, and even just the first Iron Man movie, I became a big fan of the lore a lot more. Because I used to only I used to actually collect the cards, the Marvel cards that would actually like all come together. I don't know if anybody remembers those, but they had like comic book cards.
I'm just smiling and nodding right now. I'm like,
you could actually connect them all to form like one big picture or stuff sometimes. But yeah, I appreciate this as a standalone Tony Stark and Iron Man story. Like, the Iron Man gameplay is fun, and the Tony Stark story stuff is good, and I think that's a nice balance.
Did we get David Moore's tip?
We got 3 tips actually. Three tips.
Hit me up.
You can't get the right to squeeze me.
What did David Moore say?
$5 from David Moore saying, love y'all's opinion on games and the fact that you disagree and have minor fights. He thinks they're minor. He has no idea. It shows your passion for PSVR. Y'all are the shit. Or no, y'all are the shat. I'm sorry. I guess it's a past tense of shit. We're all shat. Thank you, David Moore. Yeah, man, if our passion doesn't show through, But also, please remember, we fight all the time, but that's because we're friends and family.
I don't even consider it
After,
fighting.
after this,
like,
guys, if you think that we're at each other's throats at any point, we get on a call after this and are totally like, there's no bad blood.
I think it's more of like public debating than it is like actually like when we're arguing, I'm not like fuck you, Dave. I'm more just like trying to argue to be right than I am actually. Like,
I don't know. Now I don't believe you guys. You're rationalizing it too much. I don't believe you.
Brian.
You guys we all fucking hate each other.
I'm coming right for you.
What do we got next?
This is $5 from Genetic Blasphemy saying Brian Paul. Iron Man or Immortal Legacy. Both are imperfect. I don't agree with that statement. Both have some quality. I do agree with that statement.
Iron Man.
Which is stronger in your mind? Listen.
I love Immortal Legacy. Iron Man.
Listen, Immortal Legacy is a $20 game that I think I had more fun with. Like, I think... Ooh. Yeah, I love Immortal Legacy, but that's a preference thing. That is such a preference. As a reviewer, I go, I know that's not... Like, I think I like Immortal Legacy more than Blood and Truth.
You've said that before, and I want to strangle you for it.
It's okay. I'll strangle myself for it. But that's just a preference thing. I love the horror slant. I love the way that it moves and the fact that like I've got full locomotion. So do I like Immortal Legacy more than Iron Man?
Genetic Blasphemy.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me answer this for you.
Too late. I already said yes.
Genetic Blasphemy. His answer is Resident Evil 7.
All right, my answer is always Resident Evil 7.
The scientist Game Cat with a $20 donation.
Whoa.
He says, I am Iron Man. Going to miss the live streams for a while. Work calls. Great show and discussion. Peace and love. Thank you so much, Donatello.
Right
we will be right here waiting for you when you get back. I understand how work,
Thank you guys. So generous. Really, really appreciate all the donations. You guys are keeping this channel running in the pizza in my belly, which is...
Smep says is Saints and Sinners better. Saints and Sinners is the best PlayStation VR game, despite what these two
of the year.
Okay, look.
Say it wasn't the best.
Saints and Sinners, Resident Evil 7, Astrobot. One of those three. Just juggle those, and it's one of those three. You'll find out in 2 months.
Get Billy out and jiggle those balls.
You know what made me really sad? Somebody, I think, in Discord was saying in our Discord, man, I can't wait for the PS5 when games like Astrobot and Iron Man are going to be so much more beautiful. Yeah. I guarantee that Iron Man is never going to be nearly as beautiful as Astrobot, no matter what system we're playing it on.
Well, Astrobot's one of the best looking games on PSVR.
That's what I'm saying. But
and it's also a tiny
played Iron Man thinks that it might be on the same level graphically as Astrobot means that there's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people because it's not anywhere near the level of graphical quality.
Not graphical quality, but there's something about Iron Man because you're so agile and you've got this mobility that Astrobot doesn't have, and the visuals. But the visuals are impressive in a completely different way because you're dashing in and out like around buildings, and it's because of the speed that the visuals impress in Iron Man. In Astrobot, they're just fucking adorable.
Yeah, but even if you're going full speed, you still get unimpressed by the Shanghai level. I could be going balls to the wall fast, and I'm still like, that looks like shit. That looks like shit. But hold on, we got...
Yeah, go ahead.
We got another tip here, didn't we? Yeah.
Yes, we did. Joe Grover.
Joe Grover. $5. The effing Game Cat says, if Facebook arguments were like your guys' arguments, the world would be a much happier place. I agree with you, but Facebook arguments are a losing battle anytime.
Yeah, don't
change
even engage.
Anyone's mind on the internet. I've done it. I've tried a million times. It makes you upset.
Dreams. Oh my God. I cannot wait. PSVR support. Not too much longer.
Matt Marjanovic came in out of nowhere and says, when is it coming? Will it be its own section of Dreams? It's July 22nd?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
22nd. So very, very soon.
Oh my God.
And it will have...
Okay, panic.
Oh God. All right. Another one. Big test, Bri. Immortal Legacy with rudder or Iron Man? He's going to keep asking the same question in a different way.
That's okay. Keep the tips coming. I will answer every single one of them. I think anything with the rudder is fucking trash. And so, Iron Man for sure.
Yep.
Yeah, the rudder's about to be ejected from my reviews. It's like no one cares.
Anybody? Any more Iron Man questions? We played the whole thing. I'm going to be going for the platinum trophy soon.
So that's the only reason why you're going to use the pull-up bar because otherwise it's totally not fun and totally pointless.
Actually, it was a little bit of a workout. Like,
I mean, moving your arms in any way is more of a workout than sitting on your ass.
Did you find that you like landed on the ground more? Like I was just gonna do it as long as I could, but every like 5 to 10 pull-ups, like I just stopped doing pull-ups and I just sit down on the ground.
I thought that was gonna happen because it happened like once or twice, and then like eventually I did it, and I was able to keep going and keep going.
So maybe you have to do it more and more. Maybe you have to do it a few times to build up your strength.
Maybe I even like tried to mess with it, and I did like I was like, like doing it really quick.
Oh, I like that. It's funny because when you're doing like the weights and the pull up and stuff, he makes these grunts like ugh, ugh. And so I would just pick up the 30-pound weights. I really wanted to include this in my review for somewhere, but I didn't find a spot for it. But just like him doing a bunch of really fast things with the 30-pound weights, and he's just like it's kind of funny. I don't know.
Right on.
But I like the basketball. The hoop shooting is pretty good.
I'm so bad at basketball.
I'm bad at everything. Well, it's not real basketball.
I avoid everything
like
in basketball.
Silly arcade basketball.
The arcade basketball game, like I was always throwing roughly with the same, trajectory or the same amount of power, roughly. And every so often I just have a wild basketball that went boom. I was like, oh.
You never know what's going to happen. It bounced back in your face.
Yeah.
The physics are kind of weird, but it's
wonky.
obviously just like a throwaway thing. Like it's not really there for any kind of depth. It's just like, hey, look, we did a VR thing over here. Check it out.
All right, so guys, I think we talked about Iron Man to death. I think we need to start wrapping this thing up. Make sure that you check out all of our reviews if you want, just a more concise version of it. It's probably easier to watch a 6-minute review, 5-minute review. I don't know how long yours are. Actually, Dave, I think you clocked in at the longest. Wasn't yours like over 7?
Well, because I was freestyling. I didn't write anything down, so I just kind of, wasn't very concise.
Dude, it took me, I don't think it's ever taken me as long to write a review as this did. It took me almost an entire day to get all my thoughts on paper and just edited and revised. It's such a tough, because like we all talked on the phone, and I had so many thoughts for you guys that just came spewing out of my brain spontaneously. When I sat down to do a review, not even write one, just to figure out what I wanted to say to people, that was hard. Like, what do you say about this game? It's good, but it's not what you think. It's like, I want to recommend it, but I also want to let you know, don't expect too much.
Yeah. I will say this game does show a lot of heart and a lot of talent in certain areas. And I cannot tell you the amount of experience that they probably gained from making this game is probably huge. And so I think whatever they continue to do on this game, get this feedback or make next, is probably going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, I think going from Republic to this was such a huge leap,
jump.
and maybe I think they might have bitten off a little bit more than they can chew. I think that with whatever deadlines that Marvel or Sony had in place, meant that there was just no way for this game to be completely optimized and ready for launch. Especially with it launching as a bundle. I know that we all have different opinions on this, but I do think that we're going to see many patches for this game, and if we don't, then I'm sorry, and I'm saying sorry to myself, because like I want future me to enjoy this game more than current me, and I want future you guys to enjoy this game more than current me as well. So let's fucking hope that Camouflage is like on task, and they can start cutting down these load times, optimizing we didn't even say the frame rate. Definitely stutters here and there. We probably said it.
Talk about that real quick. We didn't cover that. None of us in our reviews, except you, Brian, briefly.
I did as well.
You barely touched on it.
None of us, except for everybody but you.
Hey, fuck off. I just want to say, since these people haven't watched all our reviews yet. Oh, he's out of coffee. Okay, so real quick. Sorry.
You know how
fucking. See you later. Get out of here.
I need coffee.
Show's over, guys. No, but yeah, the one thing we didn't talk about, that's just a quick thing. Sometimes, AJ, don't look like that. What the fuck's wrong with you? We've been talking about this for an hour and a half. This is the biggest imposition you've ever had to deal with? All right. The frame rate drops like an old shoot 'em up when you get into segments that have too much shit going on. So, like, you know how old shoot 'em up games in the arcade, when there was a lot going on screen, you would just start kind of moving slower, and there's like a little bit of a lag or a delay to everything? It's a real thing. It happens in shoot 'em ups.
I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this game does. When there's a lot going on the screen, the frame rate drops a lot. And you can notice it, but then as soon as you get out of that big action moment, it goes back up to speed. And it's not nauseating exactly, but you can tell This shit went down to like 10 frames a second for a second.
But how funny is it that like something like Pixel Ripped would fail certification because during a loading screen the frame rate dropped too much, and then this during actual gameplay dips to like 30 FPS?
Brian, some games can't fail certification. As you said, there's a release date, there's a bundle. This game can't fail certification. There's no way they could allow that to happen.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
It had to get pushed through, even though the frame rate drops to definitely sub 60, probably sub 30, maybe sub 20 sometimes.
Right.
But
So
it's rare. You'll notice it though. You'll certainly notice it.
And that's why I think we're going to see patches coming, because this was, even Sony was aware that this wasn't quite ready for release, and so I think that hopefully they'll get the time and the money they deserve to finish this thing up, polish it up, and hopefully we'll look back on this in a few months, maybe do an episode of Why We Love, and see if we can make Love by developers, any updates, any DLC, any patches, and we'll let you know, the little game cats, whether it's worth your time.
Blow the dust off of it.
Dust the blow off of it, my friend. Dust the blow right off of it. All right, you guys, it's going to do it for another episode of GamesCast Live. Thank you so much, Dave and AJ, for joining me today. Thank you so much to all the cats in the chat. Thank you to everybody who donated and supported the channel. Also, guys, thank you to everybody who's still supporting me on Patreon, because there's like some weird tax thing going on. And the second I said that you might get charged taxes, I lost like a couple Patreon supports. Like, what? Whoa, sorry. I was just being honest, and I lost you guys.
An extra 6 cents, not on my watch.
And thank you to everybody who upped their Patreon support when I said that. You guys are awesome. I fucking love you guys. Best community on the face of the planet. Also, don't forget, thank you to everybody who sat back and watched and didn't say a goddamn word, because before Without Parole, I was one of you. Thank you, cats. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, AJ. This is PSVR Gamescast, and we're out.
Cue the cat. All right. Johnny No Pockets says good times, lady all.
Wow.
Give her chick 13. Wave, everybody.
Everybody wave.
Off. The Underground, Dave Station, Game Cat, total
Best name in the
underrated
world.
name. Yes. Great show as always. Thank you, Knight. PSVR Mania. V Bout That Life, Parish. Great show. Thank you, man. Noah Person. Later, Rick Renteria. Joe Grover.
Send Joe
Wizard.
Grover right over.
Genetic Blasphemy. Orseek. I am Orseek.
I think Joe Grover's a freak, guys.
Right out of hell, the Game Cat. Oh, yeah. Make sure you tell Lily hello. Donatello, the scientist. Game Cat. Pass me a ninja slice. Noah Person. Zach Lightning. I'm sorry, Zach, if we scared you. You're gonna enjoy this game. I promise to you.
Yeah, don't be scared. It's gonna be great.
You will
Real quick,
like
I
it.
gotta slide this in. Some housekeeping.
Slide it
If you
in.
guys if you aren't on the Discord, this conversation continues 24/7, as Brian likes to say, on the Discord all the time. There's a link in the description. Go hang out with us, because I think the cats will have a lot to say after we've had this conversation.
100%.
Yeah, Station VR in the chat. Hello. He says, what noise did I make? LOL. I don't know. I wasn't listening. David Moore. Tony Montana. 12.
What? Did you almost go Princess Bride on me?
I have.
Indigo
I have
Montoya.
no idea. Like, the reason I was making that face, Dave, is because like I am dead right now. 12 Toad, Game Talk, Trent Stanley, Boy Brown, Secrets of Matt Martinovich, Salvador Sandra Schmepp,
Yeah.
Frank the Bunny 666. I love that name.
Okay.
And Colt 45 Rainman 88 with my favorite emoji, the scream emoji. You guys know
Ah.
Munch, Edvard Munch, the scream. It's the best emoji.
Indeed.
Oh.
All right, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. We love you all.
Meow.